I hope someone reaches out to Hasan to advise him to actually take legal action. Dude is claiming Hasan date rapes now. Wait, what?
Bro is straight up in that like Lebowski, Big Lebowski, like sex predator vibe. He looks like someone at a Big Lebowski party, you know, where he
Jackie Treehorn.
Yeah, he looks like he's at a Jackie Treehorn party. You know, fucking drunk women, which surprisingly doesn't seem too far off from what he actually does do, or has done at least.
The Crew, man. I know. Listen, I used to like The Crew too. I'll be honest with you, chat. I used to like The Crew, but I think they kind of know where their bread is buttered. You know what I mean? And at a certain point, like, I don't think we could just go like, oh, The Crew, they don't know what to do. It's like, quit. Blow the whistle on Ethan and quit. You know how much love you would get from like the rest of this fucking internet if you did? You would instantly have yourself a content creation career where you're going to get paid a lot. You may be like 1/10 the size of Ethan, except you'll get all the money, you know, or 1/50th of it. You'll end up getting paid more. Did you see Gila accuse an artist of being anti-Semitic? You know how you know the artist isn't anti-Semitic? Gila didn't say what their name was. I used to watch some streamers that then they started integrating politics out of nowhere, counter to my own, like XQC, who met with Trump. Yeah, I know. That's the thing that's really crazy. It's like, if you looked at Twitch and you were like, man, people are really bad over there on Twitch. And then you said, like, Hasan. Like, do you know how the idea of delusional, psychotic freak you have to be to come to my community or Hasan's community, the nicest communities on Twitch, where we don't allow people to be bullied, we don't attack people, we just talk about our like little politics autism.
The problem, fucking bitch. Did you not hear what they said? First of all, she's a fucking bitch. Shame on you. Fuck you. How dare you? And yes, she is a fucking bitch. That's a fucking bitch of a person. She is earning the coveted distinction of being a fucking bitch. I have decreed, let it be known, that Denims is a dumb fucking bitch. I know I should apologize once again to Denims, the dumb fucking bitch that I hate. Just because I was wrong about her sleeping with Destiny, I spoke out of turn there, and I apologize for that, even though I despise her. And heard or saw.
Okay, first of all, Denims was never really a Destiny orbiter. Like, she wasn't, when she was 19, Destiny's community approached her, and she was kind of in the community, and he did his, like, Epstein shit on her, and she was, like, a young person. This was, again, like, 6 years ago, right? He tried to groom her, and she ended up, like, dating someone else, and that's what made Destiny go nuclear on her. Like, that's it. By the way, Dan, what's so funny? What makes her a bitch? What was the reason she's a bitch? Like, I even feel bad commenting on Denims because it's just like, she doesn't deserve this. Like, she just makes her own shit. Because she shat on Sabra hummus. Sabra hummus legitimately tastes bad. I mean, I don't know if you guys have eaten hummus before, but it tastes bad. You're not allowed to dislike an Israeli brand now? You're not allowed to say that an Israeli brand is bad?
And yes, she is a fucking bitch. Somebody that laughs in the face of other fucking rape victims and immediately calls them liars, that's a fucking bitch of a person.
Okay, so I know for a fact that this person doesn't claim they were sexually assaulted. Like, that, like, what?
If not that, then who? She is earning the coveted distinction of being a fucking bitch.
Isn't this against, I mean, like, I know that Ethan doesn't actually have the rules enforced against his channel, because that's how, basically, if you want to understand how YouTube works, is they have a problematic creators team. Oh, I'm going to spill some tea about how YouTube works. So YouTube has a problematic creators team where they basically just don't apply the rules to them. The rules that exist are just on paper. right? And the only reason they will ever ban somebody on the problematic creators team, which Ethan is definitely on, is now I actually don't know that for sure, but maybe Ethan can clear it up. Is if there's some sort of like big story. That's why like Dr. Disrespect is on the platform with Ethan. Like, here's the thing about Ethan. Ethan doesn't care about anything. All right. This is very, very important. There are literal anti-Semites on YouTube. There are sex criminals on YouTube. There's, you know, Dr. Disrespect is on YouTube. Like all these like really problematic freak creators are on YouTube. Ethan Klein doesn't give a shit. Okay. But he wants to go over to Twitch and try to enforce the Twitch TOS. There are like legitimate anti-Semites on YouTube spouting attacks on Israel as an example. And he's not over there. He's not obsessing over them. It's weird. Fresh and Fit are on YouTube.
Congratulations.
Cody Co is back on YouTube.
I've come here and I've made the distinction.
A released Israeli hostage has received a barrage of hate comments over her testimony of her experience at Hamas captivity. A recent report by Haaretz reveals. Hearing the shellings, we thought, hey, maybe they do want us to get back. Want to get us back. And he, Netanyahu, is causing problems. Soon after, netizens were quick to criticize Agam Goldstein Almog for her interview with Israel's N12 channel, where she talked about her 51 days as a hostage. Goldstein says that the hostile comments took a toll on her and that people reacted as her enemies. The 17-year-old teen was released from captivity along with her mother and 2 younger brothers in November 2023 as part of a temporary ceasefire deal between Hamas and Israel. Now, as far as I understand, and I'm happy to be corrected here, she just doesn't claim to have been sexually assaulted. Ethan Klein told his YouTube partner manager to demonetize the content Tsar Bomba. What? How is it limited monetization? Ethan Klein used a fake Hasan AI voice in his video? What the fuck? Is that true? Yo, Hasan should actually sue him for this shit. What did he have Hasan say? It's such a fucking weirdo. Like it's uncomfortable to watch someone have a mental breakdown. Can you imagine the discovery process for Ethan? Oh man, Ethan would spoilate so much shit. Like there's no way Ethan would be like, I'm not turning over any of my messages. Take everything I say here with a grain of salt, as I am not affiliated with the brand, but I am close to a couple people who work or have worked with Teddy Fresh. Yeah, see, this isn't enough. This isn't good enough. This isn't good enough a source. It's not a good enough source for me. I get it, but like, it's not a good enough. This is a random Reddit post, you know. If we're getting back into the old internet things, I want the best gamers back over the YouTube rightoids stewing now. Maybe stick death too, just to see how modern internet would handle that. Why?
So this was Monday morning. Obviously, the chaos
We're watching
had
some drama
unfolded
now.
over the weekend.
Then we're going to cover politics.
Sam begrudgingly weighed in, clarified that, of course, they'd never taken money for an ad read by the Kamala Harris campaign. And then they did their...
So Anna Kasparian said to Emma, you should probably be open about the Harris campaign's ad boy on the Majority Report, too. Maybe that's why you were cheering so hard for a woman who shooed away left-wing activists who wanted her to ask her legitimate questions about her foreign policy in the Middle East. Okay, a couple things here. One, this is actually disgusting. This is actually disgusting. I have my disagreements with Emma, especially on liking Kamala Harris. I think that's insane. But Emma has been clear that Israel is committing a genocide. She's been very clear her position on this issue for years now at this point. Using this as a cheap shot is scumbag behavior. Especially when Anna Kasparian and TYT took money from a crypto billionaire, a libertarian Trump supporting billionaire for the, what is it? What is it even called again? I forgot what it's called. They like named their studio. Yeah, Polymarket.
Or apes or whatever, right? Our Neanderthal cousins were probably just raping like crazy. So there's definitely something like in us to like conquer. Men want to like conquer.
Right.
So it's, you know, women are in a nature setting like to be conquered.
Ethan, if that were true, you would not be here today. If the women need to be conquered thing was true, I don't think that natural selection would have selected the Ethan Kleins of the world to continue. Because, let's be honest, women like a funny little guy. And in all seriousness, talking about this for a second, taking Ethan Klein's position seriously, that women are designed to be raped, that's actually not the case. And the reason why we know that is because human beings, like our sexual organs, when compared to other great apes, we have like larger penises and larger testicles. And the reason compared to other apes, and the only apes that are comparable to us are the bonobo, which is extremely promiscuous. So it seems very likely that human beings are heavily promiscuous. For example, like the penis of the human male is larger than other apes and relative to our body size, right? But it also has a head, like the glands, seems to be designed to scoop out semen of competing males, meaning that human sexuality is almost certainly is promiscuous. Human sexuality is almost certainly pleasure-based, not coercive. And how do we know that? Because in species where rapes are common, like ducks, there's physiological developments that try to help resist rape. Because part of what sexual reproduction is sexual selection, where, you know, each partner tries to select another partner that is suitable for them. That's what sexual reproduction is for, is like you don't select the sickly and unattractive mates. You pick what is, you know, you select for the attractive mate. That's sexual selection, right? And so when you see in things like ducks, they have corkscrew penises because why? There's corkscrew vaginas. Ducks have false vaginas because rape is so common among ducks. They try to deny rapists access to reproduction physiologically. So Ethan is just, you know, I think this is more of a reflection of his own psychology than it is a kind of biological treatise, which is, it's very clear that the evidence is that human beings are more sexual pleasure focused, more promiscuous, more pleasure focused, like the female orgasm, you know, the clitoris. There's a lot of positive pleasure nerve endings in women that inclines us to believe that sex for pleasure has been kind of the focus of humanity long before even culture like that we would perceive existed. So what he's saying here is not only wrong, it's actually kind of a red flag. Yikes.
Yanis Varoufakis.
Donald Trump is obsessed.
Donald Trump.
Ad read by the Kamala Harris campaign, and then they did their entire.
So like the Ethan Klein crash, like, okay, so Ethan Klein will get mad if you call it a crash out. But here's the reality. Like, there's a ceasefire in Gaza now. So even if Ethan Klein was motivated by Zionism alone, and Zionism is defined as somebody who believes that there should be a state of Israel where it is a Jewish ethnic supremacist state, meaning that Jewish people should be the majority in the country. Sort of like I would call someone a white supremacist or white nationalist if they said that the United States should remain white majority, right? And they wanted to deny and deport people based on their race to maintain a white majority. That would be a white nationalist. So that's my working definition, okay? So if Ethan Klein agrees with that, then he's a Zionist. If he thinks there's a different definition of Zionist that he likes to work with, that's fine as well. I'll let him self-define. But from my understanding, the dictionary definition of it is somebody who supports that. And one of the things that's really kind of interesting to me is, okay, there's a ceasefire in Gaza. Right now, everybody, you know, whether you supported Israel's response to October 7th or not, and I did not, from the very beginning, I thought it was very clear that they were going for ethnic cleansing and genocide. Now Donald Trump has announced this harebrained idea of, oh, I'm going to, you know, the U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip and that Gazans will be displaced. Now, this is Donald Trump doing something that is very valuable, which is saying the quiet part out loud. And you start to see the people who don't have a problem with ethnic cleansing and genocide, right? They're not talking about that. Can you imagine in the days following Donald Trump's meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu, where he announces his intent to pursue an ethnic cleansing plan, that you're attacking a woman because of her hummus brand criticism? You have millions of people who might be permanently forced from their homes, who are innocent, who had absolutely nothing to do with what Hamas did, other than being related by nationality to the perpetrators, being forced out of their homes. And you want to talk about a hummus brand? It's just mentally ill. And I think it's also evidence that Ethan doesn't really, it's not really why he hates Hasan, right? Like the war in Gaza is not really the source of his hatred of Hasan. His source of his hatred of Hasan is the fact that Hasan held his principles. He didn't bend due to Ethan's demands. And then when Ethan didn't want to compromise, if Ethan didn't want to listen to reason, Hasan went his own way. And he continued to live his life and succeed. All right, everybody. It says, we really appreciate... Ethan Klein is breaking the terms of service on YouTube by harassing a female creator and screamed the words fucking bitch at her several times in the same video. What the fuck? It's so weird, man.
Fascists are in full control of our government, and they're crippling institutions and dismantling the administrative state as we speak. The real threat is actually communism. Yeah, makes sense. Now, in case you don't know who that is, it's comedian Ethan Klein of the H3 podcast. And even though he tried to say that in a funny way, I promise you, he wasn't trying to do satire. It's what he unironically believes. Now, I don't know how familiar my audience is with Ethan Klein and the H3 podcast, but if you aren't familiar with him, I know that you've at least probably seen this incredible moment that he helped to facilitate.
Oh no, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare. I had no idea this was going to happen.
Oh no, Sam Cedar.
And now it's all come full circle because Ethan Klein is now the one who refuses to talk to Sam Cedar, much like Cenk Uygur of TYT, who's also currently crashing out like Ethan Klein. And as Jimmy Dore slid further to the right a couple of years ago, he too refused to debate Sam Cedar. So it feels like Sam Cedar has become the de facto final boss of grifters and crash outs because they know.
Report reveals Juan Guaido received $98 million from USAID to overthrow President Maduro.
That he would easily expose their bullshit, hence why they avoid him like the fucking plague. But an existential fear of Sam Cedar is not the only thing that Ethan Klein and Cenk Uygur as well as Anna Kasparian have in common. They've all been cheered on recently by the far right for punching left. Ethan's been applauded by the likes of Tim Pool and Keemstar and Ian Miles Chong, all for his smear campaign against his former co-host Hasan Piker. Now, on the subject of similarities between the H3 and TYT crashouts, we also saw how the far right showered Anna Kasparian with compliments for her birthing person tweet. Ethan Klein also hates Hasan. Anna Kasparian, she hates him too. Cenk doesn't, so he gets a little bit of a pass there because that's his nephew. Both TYT and H3 are fueled by personal petty grievances and hurt feelings. Ethan and Cenk claim everybody else has changed while they're the ones who've remained consistent. In fact, there's a lot of similarities between the H3 and TYT crashouts, but ironically, Ethan Klein is able to see what's happening at TYT, but he doesn't have the self-awareness to see that he's had a similar trajectory for the same reasons.
Speaking of which, have you noticed the co-host from the Young Turks, Anna, what's her last name, has gone like full Trump? No. And Cenk too. They've both gone like pro-Trump. It's so crazy. Check it out. It's fucking weird.
They have?
Yeah.
Now, to clarify, Ethan hasn't gone full MAGA, although he has made some reactionary points, like he berated one of his producers, Olivia, for pronouns. I think he called her woke, if I'm remembering correctly. So, you know, there's some groundwork there being laid for a right-wing pivot, wittingly or unwittingly, but Ethan Klein is incapable of seeing that minor disagreements with the left and an inability to accept good faith criticism is ultimately what broke Cenk and Anna's brains, and it's the exact same thing that broke his brain too. But he hasn't changed, apparently. He's not grifting. The real grifter is his left-wing co-host who mildly criticized him. To show you what I mean, so in the same clip that we just watched, Ethan Klein accused Hasan Piker of being the one to pull a Dave Rubin, albeit a reverse Dave Rubin.
I think he did like what Dave Rubin did, but like the other direction. He realized that like he could farm more audience going that direction. And Dave Rubin thought, well, I can farm more audience going to the right. Yeah. I don't know, man. Doesn't seem to be coming from a very serious place.
He's always been left leaning, though. Dave Rubin did like a full flip. Like Dave Rubin was left to right.
By the way,
yeah, see, even his producer Dan didn't agree with him because it's laughably fucking stupid. But it's not lost on me that Cenk Uygur likened his new nemesis, Sam Cedar, to the likes of Jimmy Dore and Dave Rubin as well, even though he's the one that's on that trajectory with those people.
So finally, after somebody does it 1,000 times, we're like, all right, fuck it. Here's who's doing it, and fuck them, right?
Yeah.
And then everybody's like, oh no, I can't believe you're saying that about poor Jimmy Dore. I can't believe you're saying that about poor Dave Rubin. I can't believe.
Nobody ever said that. Have you spoken about how Ethan is apparently making a part 2 of his Hasan nuke? This is the one that's going to turn his career around, guys. This is the one that's going to do it. This is the one he's going to do it. Like at a certain point, it's just like, I tweeted this earlier. I think I showed this tweet earlier on stream, but let me see if I did. Let's see if I still have it up. Or maybe I was going to show it and I forgot. All right, hold on. I'll show you the one I'm talking about. Hold on. We'll see here. Did I scroll past it? Fuck. Fuck. Oh, wait. Okay, I totally scrolled past it. Hold on. Crash. Wait, where the fuck is it? Yeah, I do post a lot. I have 37,000 posts on Twitter. I've been on Twitter for over 10 years. That's a lot. That's a lot. But I do have 40,000 followers, so, you know, people are following when I post. Most of my posts are retweets, honestly. I just like retweet spam people. Sorry about that. Do you think there's going to be a defamation lawsuit? No. No, I don't think so. Where can I find this post? Oh, here it is. I found it. I said, okay, so Comrade Casey said, Hasan Piker and his ability to cause former friends to obsess over him for the rest of their lives needs to be studied. And I said, it's legitimately funny and the crash out never works. But every time they think they will be the one to destroy him. And like, this is, I think it's because like, how do I put this? Because I'm not trying to glaze Hasan. I think it's just like, when they're friends with Hasan, they feel like they're cool. You know what I mean? Like, they feel like they're cool and important, and they have a strong social network, you know? And when Hasan goes away and just keeps having fun, they have a narcissistic meltdown. They have like a narcissistic meltdown. And it's just like they expect Hasan to like collapse without them. Like they're collapsing. Like they're in, like Hasan is like, okay, you don't want to be my friend anymore. All right, well, I'm going to go hang out with my other friends. And then they're like, wait a minute. Your friendship was much more important to me than my friendship was to you. And that is an ego strike. And it's like, and Hasan's just like, well, if a person doesn't want to be my friend anymore, then okay. And like, every time they see, like, it's like breaking up with an ex, and then that your ex goes and marries like a millionaire and has an amazing life and gets their dream job and like, you know, is always succeeding and has beautiful children. Meanwhile, you're like, you're in a studio apartment and you got laid off. And you drive over a screw on the road. You can't afford new tires. Like, your life is just falling apart since the point you broke up, and their life is getting better every day. And it's like, oh, a normal person laughs that off and starts working on themselves. You know what I mean? A normal person, when they break up with someone and that person thrives, they are happy for them and they move on and do their own shit.
Don't fucking watch the damn video. Don't let him get away with that, man. You know? It's just pathetic. He won't fucking watch
The man is also attractive, very successful, and usually morally and immoral and factually correct. People tend to hate people who are successful. No, I don't think that's true. I don't think success is what makes people hate you. I think it's success in spite of your efforts. You know what I mean? Like, when someone succeeds and you don't want them to succeed, that causes bitterness. That causes you to be a hater, right? Like, that's what drives haters. Like, if I was failing, do you think Destiny would be obsessing over me? Do you think Ethan Klein would be bringing up 10-year-old articles without context or understanding to try to say that I did X, Y, and Z bad thing? If I wasn't one of the more successful political streamers on Twitch, do you think any of these people would give a fuck about me or insulting me or bother insulting me? They would ignore me. I wouldn't matter. But the fact that, you know, we're near the top of Just Chatting every day and we find them stupid and laughable and we're not intimidated and we're not scared and we're living our best lives, like, that's what they're mad about. There is something about narcissists' reaction to autistic people. Narcissists can't get the same reactions they get from other people, so it drives them absolutely crazy because they can't control the other person's emotions. I do think that's actually a very good insight. I think that's a very good insight. I think, like, narcissists also tend to bond with autistic people because autistic people respond positively to, like, the love bombing stage of a relationship, of, like, a connection. And the autistic people are like, oh, this person treats me well and kindly, and I like them and I feel good around them. So, like, the autistic person bonds with the narcissist, and then the narcissist tries to get narcissistic supply, and the autistic person's like, well, that doesn't make sense. What you're doing isn't like, you're saying one thing but you mean another, and it causes the autistic person to kind of withdraw from the relationship, and, like, that causes the narcissist to freak out. I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, the autistic person just acts like, oh, okay, you don't like me anymore, bye. And the narcissist's like, wait, don't go. You're supposed to react to my manipulation better. You're supposed to be manipulated by me. Ethan feels insecure because he's surrounded by yes men. I mean, if you have to pay a bunch of people to say you're right, which Ethan does, like, it's very important to understand, like, all the people surrounding Ethan are paid to agree with him by Ethan, right? Hasan doesn't pay me shit. Hasan doesn't pay Denim shit. Hasan doesn't pay Sean DeBlack shit. Hasan doesn't pay Sam Cedar shit. You know, like, we agree with him because we agree with him, and we trust him because he's trustworthy, and we defend him because he should be defended. H3, where they found out your average viewership. This is what it looks like when you get bot follows.
3.8K average.
How much?
Right now, the past 30 days, 3.8.
Okay.
Like, one of the top streamers. One of the top streamers worldwide, period. Now, I'm not saying that I'm that big in the grand scheme of the planet. I'm not. Twitch isn't that big of a platform. But as far as, like, what I'm trying to do on Twitch, other than Hasan, who's a top 5 streamer worldwide, there's no one better than me on Twitch. Especially on the left wing perspective. Like, that's just the reality. Same thing with Denims, by the way. Denims is one of the top female streamers, period, now. That's just a fact. And the more they try to target us, the better we're going to do.
Wild.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
that's like, I feel like the people, the caliber of streamers that are involved in this, like, Hasan has some talent as, like, a broadcaster, as an entertainer.
Of course.
But these other people are such hacks.
Unbelievable.
Look how much production you have to spend. You have to get a studio and have, like, 8 paid sycophants. I could just do it from my fucking, like, home office. Like, it's called talent. I don't need to have 8 producers surrounding me and fluffing me to get people to watch. I have a $50 webcam. Like, what do you, I mean, like, don't you think you might be out of touch in the political sphere? Do you think you might not know anything? I'm kind of surprised Dan's saying Mike's a hack. We used to be more reasonable. Well, he doesn't know me, and he's never watched me, and he's never engaged with me. He's only engaged with me through DGG memes, right? Like, they've only engaged with me through DGG memes. And that's why they don't want to debate me, right? Like, Ethan is throwing out, I'll debate all sorts of people, but he's not responding to my debate challenge. Why? Because he understands, probably from his conversation with Destiny, that debating me is probably a bad idea.
The fact that they're able to succeed on his crumbs is a condemnation of the entire fucking movement. Of these. It is. It is.
I recognize this guy. Like, I think back a couple, like 4 years ago, he looked normal, and
That's a DGG talking point, by the way. This is literally something Destiny has said. Because I have long hair now. This is honest to God, it's very funny to watch this and watch them go like, oh no, we're not from DGG, as they say the exact things they say on DGG. The exact same things.
I think he was like somewhat respected. I'm very surprised to see how
No way he was ever respected.
I don't know. Yeah.
We're gonna have to do a deep dive on it.
Yeah, I'd have to go back.
Deep dive, look at DGG clips.
There's a lot of good stuff.
I barely scratched the surface the other day, and
it's good.
Mike from PA's Cope. That's it?
Not actually being serious. What are they doing?
Look at, oh, I knew it. I knew it. I knew every time I was tweeting about Ethan, he was malding over it. Here's the evidence. He's malding. Hey, Ethan, buddy. By the way, pal, friend. Have you considered just quitting the whole politics stuff and going back to like Vape Nation or whatever the fuck what was your last successful, would you say, skit as a comedian? What would you say was your most successful skit? Like in the last, like, say 5 years?
Why are people actually...
The more...
Destiny's drama is already dying, Mike. You could taste. He will succeed in the end. It's already old news. Actually, he's probably going to go to prison, man. Like, Destiny's 50-50 shot of going to prison. But I would know a lot more about that than you would.
The more I've learned about this dude, this is... I don't know. Lolcow? Is that the right?
Yeah.
Like, I think he's
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a lolcow.
So a lolcow is when somebody has a community that hates them and abuses them for entertaining. It's something. It's a phrase that comes from Kiwi Farms, which is a alt-right, far-right, or a website that used to stalk people. Ethan is a good example of a lolcow because everyone around him has to be paid to pretend he's cool.
It's a political
I saw something odd last
then
night.
Here he is accusing me of buying
This is like
subs.
nuts, man.
Here he is.
Okay, so let's see here. This is all...
Hope showing up to work tomorrow if Mike PA's there.
And I don't know who's doing it. All I know is that it was botted. This is what it looks like when you get bought.
Boogie here.
But like, why would I buy 3,000 subs?
Because like, none of this makes, like, if you know anything about how YouTube works, if you know anything about how these websites work, it's very obvious what this is. However, even if we go along with that theory for a second, why 3,000?
Bro, I've been losing,
It's still a net negative. Like
3,000. I lose 3,000 subs for breakfast.
Yeah.
That is true. He is right. I did correct this later, and I said it's very likely that his channel's just dead, and it was a API thing. And I did correct this later. I'm not a YouTube creator, so on Twitch, your follow count is live and accurate to the person. So I don't know how it works on Twitch, but like I think his channel's just on a general decline. As old, like, you know, YouTube kind of like purges old dead accounts, stuff like that.
I've been losing subs for years, bro. I don't give a shit. That stuff doesn't faze me at all.
I mean, it's a dead channel that you posted for the first time in 5 years.
Well, I mean,
you very much expected people that
on the
have long
podcast,
since checked out.
No, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Literally could not care anyways.
So this is supposed to be my cope, right? I thought this was supposed to be my cope. This is supposed to be my cope, not your cope.
About losing subs. The only thing that matters is the fucking viewership, right? I mean, we all know that. Care about subs.
I don't think it's botted. It's most likely an approximation and a correction. No. 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 You refresh. And I don't know who's doing it. All I know is that it was botted. This is what it looks like.
No, and by the way, I looked into that, and that chatter was probably right. And I looked into it. I think that chatter is probably right. That being said, Ethan Klein's subscribers dropped 50K when he published the video, and they've been flat since. And I don't think typically when you have successful videos, you see subscriber counts continue to go down. I think successful videos tend to drive subscriptions.
Like when you get bot follows.
No. Oh my god.
Mike, from the bottom of my heart. Who's on for you? You're so fucking dumb.
But he knows he's lying. He knows he's lying.
No, I don't think so. I think he's really dumb.
Either way,
he's speaking with such a conviction. And like he'll do that with serious topics too, like politics and whatnot. And you think he's smart, right? If someone like puts all their power into saying no.
Okay, go ahead and find an example.
How it is. But that turns out exactly, literally. And then like you come down, it was some bullshit like this that's clearly not correct.
I mean, at least Pirate Software has a cool voice. This guy has no fucking allure at all.
Zero risk.
He's hideous.
Yes, awful.
He's giving Asmongold energy in terms of just like the way he presents himself, and
that's interesting.
He's like the negatives from Asmon and Pirate Software together.
Apparently, living in your own filth is definitely not a prerequisite for success on Twitch, though. Surprisingly. So I guess shout out. Well, sorry, I got distracted by this meme of AB eating KFC. Why is it so funny?
His face
Why is it so funny?
Different.
He's all dimpled up. What is that? Those dimps, dude.
AB, how's that KFC?
Ugh, man, imagine being a multi-millionaire and you're just feeding your crew KFC, like old like Uber Eats KFC. Ugh. Not even providing your crew like decent meals. Nice blinds, by the way. Speaking of living in filth.
John?
Oh, he's back.
I'm sorry, guys. Usually I would ask if no one wanted anything.
No.
I was just starving. You guys order something fast.
Just get on and do your shit, dude.
Yeah,
Chicken Wednesday. Hey, guys. I don't know my feelings. You guys want? I have some potatoes left.
No,
No, enjoy it, man. Enjoy it.
No, enjoy
It's just a funny picture. You look like you got caught. Like, I don't know. What is so funny about it? I don't know.
He looks like a dad.
Anyway, at the end of the day, Dan is what could he say about Dan? You know, he's a yes man for Ethan. Like, what could he even say? What could he even say about Dan? DGG Dan. What could he even say? See, the difference between me and Dan is when Hasan gets unfairly attacked, I defend my friend. The problem with somebody like Dan is he's only in it for the money, right? So his values are determined by what he gets paid to do. And that'll never change. Whereas I built this on my own. I built this channel on my own. I wasn't riding somebody's coattails. I wasn't a lickspittle. And at the end of the day, no matter what Dan says or does against me, that will always be true. And he'll never be able to escape that reality. Dan's great-grandpa was part of the OG Bolsheviks, according to him. Oh, yeah? Is that right? Did you see Dan try to get Ethan to consider paying them all evenly? Yeah, that's what Hasan does on his podcast. They have a co-op and they pay everybody equally on the podcast. Now, I think Dan, like the difference between like Hasan's podcast and paying everyone equally and Ethan's podcast and paying everyone equally is like Dan doesn't really matter. Like if Dan walked away, it's not going to change anything, right? Whereas like with Hasan, it's a collective project. All right, let's keep going.
If you're saying that about poor Sam Cedar, I know. Poor Sam.
Interesting, right?
What do you think Ethan pays these guys? I don't know. I don't think I would ever take a job from Ethan. Like, there's no amount of money he could offer me that I would want to work for him. You know what I mean? Like, so however much they're getting paid, it's not enough. But I don't imagine it's very much. I don't know. What cars do they have? What's the hints for how they're rolling? They all have side hustles? Oh. AB and Lena were living in a studio apartment for years? Oof. Poor guys. They should ask their friend Ethan for a loan. His other most successful podcast, Frenemies, fell out because he didn't want to give his co-host 5%.
So there's a lot of similarities between H3's crash out and TYT's crash out. But even though Cenk and Anna might bitch and moan about criticism that they get from the left, they have never gone so far as to call for leftists to be deplatformed because of their...
Zach drives an Audi R8 and Lena and AB have a 2024 Jeep. That's pretty nice.
Their disagreements.
LA is very car focused though.
And that right there is where...
So, I don't know. Sometimes people take like massive loans on these things.
Ethan Klein stands out as the biggest piece of shit in this situation. Because he's launched an all-out campaign to deplatform Hasan Piker. We're not just talking about him disagreeing with Hasan Piker and criticizing Hasan Piker. He is trying to destroy Hasan Piker, his former friend and co-host. But I want to back up a little bit and give you some additional context, so that way we're all on the same page, because again, I'm not...
Is crash out a new term being used to drive interaction? It just refers to somebody who is kind of self-destructing their audience because of some like petty personal grievance, right? You know, like Ethan Klein is mad that when Israel launched their genocide against Gaza a year ago and Hasan exactly called it out for what it was, and Ethan Klein's like, you know, his dehumanization of Palestinians, he couldn't emotionally blackmail Hasan into co-signing on that. And a lot of progressive people turned away from Ethan Klein based on his position on the Gaza genocide and his support of war criminals like Yoav Gallant. He's mad that a lot of progressive people don't like him anymore. And he kind of blames Hasan for that, not recognizing that these people are actually human beings who have their own opinions.
Not sure how much of my audience is familiar with Ethan Klein, but I want you to know how it got to this point. So after October 7th, both Ethan and Hasan seemed to be on the same page for the most part, but soon after, some disagreements began to emerge. Ethan Klein supported a two-state solution, whereas Hasan supported a one-state solution. Ethan Klein made comments that were tone-deaf and, frankly, idiotic and offensive.
Honestly, I want them to keep talking about me. Like, for a second, like, I was gonna do this whole thing where I was like, I'm kind of hurt how they're lying about me, and you know, I could like appeal to all you guys and all that. But on the other hand, like, honestly, keep talking about me. Like, keep trashing me and naming me as one of Hasan's biggest defenders. Like, keep it up. It's true. I'm a Hasan supporter. Oh my God, 210th English channel worldwide now. Holy shit. If they keep trying to attack me with DGG talking points, I mean, like, everybody knows that like the main things they're using against me, PewDiePie made a video on it when he was the #1 streamer or the #1 YouTube creator. He used the same exact shit. And you know what? I reacted to it. I laughed. He made a second video where he said he was surprised at how I reacted and that I seemed like an okay guy. It doesn't matter. It doesn't actually matter. It's the same DGG talking points. And you can cope all you want. Normal people, like political people, are not going to care about your shit. It just doesn't matter. So just keep talking about me, man. And I'm going to keep defending Hasan for when he's right. And when Hasan is wrong, I'll give him constructive criticism. And my viewership will just go up and up and up. And my success will continue to grow. And you're going to make me more and more money. And unlike Dan, I won't have to be a sycophant for anybody.
Resounds to alienation, hate, racism, and zero fucking progress for people in Gaza. Zero. I mean,
he actively didn't help make sure we don't get Trump in office. So
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Now I hope he's happy with like Trump Lindia that we're gonna get there. There should be a Hasan Strait there, the Hasan Square.
That's a good point. Hasan Piker Way.
Yeah.
I'll advocate for that. Yeah, that's a good idea.
I mean, you do have a lot of pull over settlers, right?
This is a result of Hasan's activism. This is what it resounds to. Alienation, hate, racism, and zero fucking progress for people.
My gosh. My goodness. It's uncomfortable to watch. But at the end of the day,
by claiming that Jewish Voice for Peace wasn't sufficient evidence of Jewish opposition to Israel, and he invoked kapos to make that point. And the audience did not like that. Now, at that point, he ended the Leftovers podcast with Hasan because of the pushback that he thought he was receiving from Hasan's community specifically, but it wasn't just his community. It was Ethan's community too. I know this because I've been a part of Ethan's community longer than I've been a part of Hasan's community. I'm a fan of both of them. Now, I had to take a break from H3, and then I returned after he made those terrible comments. And when I returned, one of the first episodes was him making fun of Aaron Bushnell behind a paywalled episode. Aaron Bushnell, for those who don't remember, is somebody who self-immolated. He is a U.S. veteran who self-immolated to protest our complicity with Israel's genocide. And to see Ethan Klein respond in the way that he did, that was when I had to check out for good, because I just couldn't get past his disgusting take there. He started to also conflate anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism. He later spent an entire episode shitting on Hasan Piker, and during that episode, his Lebanese staffers had family in Lebanon that had to evacuate because they were being bombed by Israel. He centered his feelings during that entire episode, didn't even let them share their experience. That's insane to me. He later claimed recently, actually, that Joe Biden was actually good when it comes to Israel-Palestine, even though he armed and funded them at every step of the way. His wife, Ethan Klein, called Yoav Gallant a really good guy, even though he is the war criminal who called Palestinians human animals while announcing that he was going to be cutting off food and electricity to all of them, not just Hamas. And over time, these things that he kept saying started to add up, and the left-wing audience that he cultivated began to grow tired of this bullshit commentary that they've been hearing. And little by little, as he lost viewers and subscribers every single week, he began to grow more angry with Hasan, because seemingly he felt like Hasan turned his audience against him, which isn't true at all.
What happened is Ethan Klein's audience turned against Ethan for Ethan's shit. And one of the things, like, what's happening, and this is like obvious, and Dan knows this, which is why they won't talk about this on stream, which is Destiny's community is the only place where he started feeling comfortable and was seemingly taking his side with no dissent. So Ethan Klein, because of his narcissism, he had to ally himself with Destiny. And the fact that Destiny was exposed as a sex criminal and an abuser and somebody who targets young fans for sexual exploitation, who targets young women who have diagnosed personality disorders so that he can dehumanize them after he uses them, that doesn't bother Ethan at all. He likes that community. He likes that space. And that's the space he gets all of his, quote, research, right? Like every single thing Ethan Klein says about me, whether it is the you touched Bad Buddy's shoulder clip, or the, oh, you were a fake lawyer, or you're fat, every single one of those things were part of DGG. That's it. That's a DGG talking points. Every single one of them is a direct DGG talking point. He's not talking about my political takes. You know, he's not talking about anything that's happened within the last 2 years. He's not saying any of the arguments I'm making are wrong on the merits. He's just trying to attack me personally based on DGG shit, often stuff that is older than 6 years old, sometimes over a decade old. And it's like one of those things where it's like, huh. He doesn't want to accept that it's his positions that are unpopular online. And here's the thing, Ethan. The vast, vast majority of young people don't agree with you on Israel. They think what Israel is doing in Gaza is a war crime. They think that we should stop giving Israel cash and weapons and diplomatic cover. Your position on Israel is unpopular with young people. And you are on social media where most of the audience is young people. That is why people are turning away from you. It is not Hasan. If anything, Hasan was giving you cover. If anything, Hasan was protecting you. If anything, Hasan was making people like me not go after you because I respected Hasan. And I wanted Hasan to get an opportunity to change your mind. I pulled my punches on Ethan Klein because that's what Hasan wanted to do so he could talk to him as a friend. That's the reality. Most of the posts on his subreddit are from DGGers. Of course they are. And as Ethan Klein said, he wants to take the baton from Destiny. Dan, buddy, all you have to do is quit, and we'll all help you make your own show. Like, Dan, just quit on stream. Just quit on stream, and I promise, no matter what you've said against me, I'll help you make your own show. And a 1,000 or 2,000 viewer stream will make more money than you're making on Ethan Klein's show. Like, legitimately, you should quit, man. I don't care what you've said against me. If you quit, I'll help you. Dan said he doesn't like Destiny because he debates CP and its ethics. Why is it okay with taking their fans, though? Does he have no morals? He has no morals. At least he hasn't demonstrated them yet. Dan is lazy as fuck. He doesn't want to make it on his own. Nah, I guess that's a good point. AB seems like a good... I think if you're part of that stream at this point, like, you can't pretend to be a nice guy anymore. "24 of 32 freshman House Dems met with AIPAC this morning."
He has a left-leaning audience that just agreed more with Hasan, full stop. And I don't think I'm making unreasonable assumptions here, because Ethan has been pretty upfront about the fact that his anger towards Hasan stemmed from him having hurt feelings. And I say that because he included this clip in his content nuke of Hasan from a conversation that they both had just before he ended the Leftovers podcast.
Do you care that your chat is calling me racist? Do you make any attempt to modify?
I have not looked at my chat.
Moderate that at all?
I have not looked at my chat at all, but you have
I just opened it, but don't you have moderators? Do you care at all about what your audience says about me?
There's 32,000 people in here right now.
Why doesn't he own that he gets his talking points from GGG memes that are 5 years old? He pretends he does his own research. The answer is because everybody, okay, it's a way of, it's ironically a strategy of discrediting us. And you would think it would go the other way, but that's because you're willing to look at the evidence and believe it. Most people don't give a shit about this. They just see people fighting, right? And they don't really want to look into anything, right? They'll believe what they're told, right? So what Ethan Klein is doing, he knows it's all from DGG. They all know it's from DGG, but they get to say everything comes from Destiny. Oh God, it's all from Destiny. And it's like, they get to be like, see, it's a conspiracy theory. It's all from Destiny. Now, if you could definitively prove that it is all from Destiny, it doesn't matter, because who's going to look at the proof that it's all from Destiny? So it's how you know Ethan Klein and Dan in particular are bad faith. Like, because they know it's all from Destiny and they lie about it, and then they try to gaslight about where it's from. That's how you know they are knowingly lying. And that's why you don't have to treat them with any kind of respect at this point. And just, it is what it is. Dan and Ethan, they are what they are. I looked up at all the clips and points he used, and 100% of them, the first result was Destiny subreddit. Do you think that Ethan Klein has the wherewithal to do his own, like come on.
I'm just trying to tell you guys how it feels. And I'm fucking shocked that you don't care.
H3 Dan or DGG Dan? It's the same guy, honestly. Like, DGG Dan and H3 Dan are the same guy, which is they don't care what the person they, orbit or leech off of does. Like, they're the same exact guy. They're only relevant through the principal, and so therefore they're sticking with them no matter what he does. AB legitimately does seem like a nice guy, and I would love to have a conversation with AB and just like get where his head's at and if he has to make car payments or whatever. I understand quitting your job is very scary, but like, it is what it is.
The people in your chat are saying, "Who the fuck is this child? Cold, arrogant, kind as fuck."
I love you, but there's only so much I can do.
How can you be surprised when your Discord is literally full of fucking?
Ethan, I love you, but there's only so much I can do.
Now, to be clear, Hasan was banning people who were being purposefully antagonistic towards Ethan out of respect for him and their friendship. I know because I was there. I saw Hasan on stream ban chatters who came in talking shit about Ethan Klein. He tried to get his own chat to see it from Ethan Klein's perspective as a dual citizen of the US and Israel. But that wasn't enough for Ethan Klein. And ever since that moment, his hatred towards Hasan has grown and festered. You know, for months he's been stewing, and it's reached the point where Ethan Klein is not only...
It's very funny because like Ethan Klein, they talk about how much they understand the internet and then immediately, and how it doesn't matter when your channel is losing subscribers hand over fist.
Comparing Hasan to literal neo-Nazis like Nick Fuentes.
But he's hate Hasan and me far more than they do Nazis. Like, he hates me and Hasan far worse than Nazis. And the reason why he does is because we reveal the moral depravity of him. Whereas, like, if a Nazi, you can look down on a Nazi and go, ew, that's gross. But with us, he has to look at himself and feel gross. And that's why we are so much more aggravating than a Nazi is.
Also accusing him of being a terrorist sympathizer. And worse, he's trying to get Twitch to ban Hasan, and he used this content nuke to encourage his viewers to call for an advertiser boycott of Twitch if they don't actually ban Hasan.
I made this video for two reasons. First, to stop Hasan infiltrating mainstream media. Hasan has been welcomed by many mainstream outlets. They view him as a friendly social democrat, as someone who's just trying to spread progressive politics online to an important demographic. But we know that's not true. He is not their friend or their ally. If you ever see Hasan rubbing shoulders with anyone from mainstream media, let them know politely, with all the civility in the world, what kind of person he is when he thinks mainstream media isn't watching. Help them understand that his name should be associated with people like Nick Fuentes and Alex Jones, other fringe, radical, political commentators. Number 2, Twitch must be held accountable. Twitch has proven that it will not change by choice, and so it is our moral imperative to enact that change through any reasonable means that we can. Samsung, Chevron, and Capcom. Twitch has given them a lasting association with a racial tier list with Arabs at the top and Jews at the bottom. These brands have every right to know, and they should. We all recall YouTube's...
Would Ethan consider Jewish a race? Would Ethan consider Jewish... Does he consider Jewishness a race? Now, some people have said that that Judaism is an ethno-religion. I think that in kind of our society, we believe in freedom of conscience, and that religion is really based on your conscience and what you purport to believe. I'm just very curious about what Ethan Klein thinks. I guess Ethan Klein doesn't really believe in, like, he doesn't like follow kosher or anything. He doesn't like, he's not like a religious Jewish person, right? So for him, it's like an ethnicity. I'm just curious about how he kind of approaches his own Judaism.
Adpocalypse. It happened when ads were running over ISIS recruitment videos, and it caused a brand exodus. The same thing is happening now on Twitch, but instead of ISIS, it's the Houthis, Hamas, and Hezbollah. Dan Clancy's refusal to moderate extremists is the only reason for any of this. He is the
First of all, this isn't even wrong. This is completely like just made up. Like, wrong is when you could be saying something that is not factually precise, but this is just invented. I have literally, as far as I'm aware, never watched any Hezbollah propaganda at all. I don't even think I watched the Houthi music videos ever. Like, I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. And as far as interviewing a Houthi kid, what, you're not allowed to interview people from Yemen now? Like, what are you trying to, what are you talking about?
the sole person to blame.
Yeah. Now, first of all, he is grossly mischaracterizing the racial tier list that he referenced there. And he got all of those small creators banned for a month because of his outrage over that. But now he's trying to cause adpocalypse on Twitch to kill everybody's channels, so that way they'll all be mad at Hasan. So that way other creators will try to sacrifice Hasan to the gods of the advertisers in order to spare them. Now,
by the way, this is literally manufacturing consent. Ethan Klein is trying to manufacture consent. He's trying to create an environment where you won't be able to say anything without fear of getting banned, basically. He's doing this. Hold on. He's trying to do this.
The corporation.
Let's just watch this real quick. It's only 4 minutes. We watch this from time to time, but this will explain to you what Ethan Klein is trying to do.
Beep. Beep. Propaganda. Many use the word when talking about countries like North Korea, Kazakhstan, Iran. Countries viewed as authoritarian through the lens of the Western media. Press freedom, freedom of thought. People use those terms when talking about countries like the United States, France, Australia, democracies. In 1988, Noam Chomsky co-authored a book with Edward Herman called Manufacturing Consent. It blasted apart the notion that media acts as a check on political power, that media inform the public, serve the public, so that we can better engage in the political process. In fact, media manufacture our consent. They tell us what those in power need them to tell us so we can fall in line. Democracy is staged with the help of media that work as propaganda machines. Media operate through 5 filters. The first has to do with ownership. Mass media firms are big corporations. Often they're part of even bigger conglomerates. Their end game, profit. And so it's in their interests to push for whatever guarantees that profit. Critical journalism takes second place to the needs and interests of the corporation. The second filter exposes the real role of advertising. Media costs a lot more than consumers will ever pay. So who fills the gap?
I think one of the things that's really important here with this is, sorry about that, I had to pee. Twitch is a little bit different because you guys pay subscriptions. And that's why content like mine and Hasan's can thrive, because we're not so worried about advertisers. Like, I'm currently not running any ads. I haven't run any ads since the election. Why have I not run any ads? One, it's too much of a pain in the ass for me, because I don't want to have people complaining to advertisers about what I say. I want to be able to say what I want to say. If it costs me $5,000 or $7,000 a month so that I get to say whatever I want to say, I'm gonna pay that price, and I'm happy to pay that price. The second thing is it helps my channel grow. People click off when they watch ads. It's fucking annoying. It makes people not want to watch ads. And number three, because you guys have been you've been subscribing, you know, and maybe in the future I'll run ads again if the you know, it's not election times anymore. So, you know, maybe the attention paid to politics will decline. I don't know. But for me, I'd rather just not deal with it. Because I don't want people like Ethan Klein running to Chevron and them Chevron getting mad at Twitch. I'd rather, you know what? I'd rather not take any of Chevron's money. I'm okay with that. Now, Ethan Klein will take money from anyone. The amount of out-of-touch wealth this man is percolating in, and he's miserable. Ethan. I'm going to say something that you're never going to listen to and you're never going to do. And I just want you to understand that I have power over you because I know you can't do this, which is you could just stop and apologize to Hasan privately. And you would probably you would start feeling better like immediately. Fans would start flowing back. Like, that's all you have to do. And the only thing that would hurt like a Band-Aid being ripped off. If you were just normal, people would start watching you again. But you can't be. Because your ego won't let you. That's the funniest part. The funniest part is Ethan Klein is completely beholden to his ego. He's completely beholden to this like persona he's created of himself, of being wronged. And so he's stuck. He's stuck in this spiral. That's just embarrassing.
Advertisers. And what are the advertisers paying for? Audiences. And so it isn't so much that the media are selling you a product, their output. They're also selling advertisers a product, you. How does the establishment manage the media?
And this is exactly the part that I wanted to show you guys, how the establishment manages the media. And this is what makes people like Ethan Klein so mad. Is typically, like, if, for example, let's say that Hasan and I worked on MSNBC. You know what would happen to us? We would have been fired and deplatformed very quickly. Ethan, you know, somebody Ethan supports, you know, an Israeli government official or AIPAC lobbyist or even a politician would pick up the phone to MSNBC and they would say, "Fire Mike!"
That's the third filter. Journalism cannot be a check on power because the very system encourages complicity. Governments, corporations, big institutions know how to play the media game. They know how to influence the news narrative. They feed media scoops, official accounts, interviews with the experts. They make themselves crucial to the process of journalism. So those in power and those who report on them are in bed with each other. If you want to challenge power, you'll be pushed to the margins. Your name won't be down. You won't be getting in. You've lost your access. You've lost the story. When the media, journalists, whistleblowers, sources, stray away from the consensus, they get flagged. That's the fourth filter. When the story is inconvenient for the powers that be, you'll see the flak machine in action, discrediting sources, trashing stories, and diverting the conversation. To manufacture consent, you need an enemy, a target. That common enemy is the fifth filter. Communism, terrorists, immigrants, a common enemy. A boogeyman to fear helps corral public opinion.
Do you understand that this video was made 7 years ago, and it's exactly what Ethan Klein's nuke is. Communism, terrorists. It's exactly what Ethan Klein's video was. Just trying to use these enemies, these boogeymen to scare people. Dr. Braidslug just dropped 20 bomb. Holy.
5 filters. One big media theory. Consent is being
Do you
manufactured
realize how the communist part was bait? No, it wasn't.
all around you, all the time.
You can't say it's bait and then immediately go like, he's showing terrorist propaganda. Ah! And so that's what Ethan Klein is doing. Ethan Klein is trying to provide flack, right? He's trying to create flack for everybody who's a anti-Israel and genocide in Gaza creator. He's trying to create flack. He's basically creating the situation that used to exist from the mainstream media. Nobody gives a fuck about the mainstream media anymore. So Ethan Klein is kind of trying to create that, which is, oh, you said that Israel's committing a genocide in Gaza, Mike? What about your most embarrassing clips being shown to my audience? Ooh, ooh. Yeah, I'm sure that would scare somebody. I'm sure that would scare Dan or something to have his most embarrassing clips played. But for me, I don't give a fuck. Who gives it? Oh no, you guys played an embarrassing clip of me from 6 years ago. How will I recover? Known Anomaly, thank you for the 50 subs.
Conspicuously enough, Ethan Klein.
By the way, I just want to say the other thing about the API with YouTube, how the way they count followers. I'm not informed on that. I should have said no there. That was dumb of me. I don't know why I did that. I think the chatter was right, actually. I said that earlier, but I just wanted to correct that. Which I don't know for sure that Ethan Klein is botting his account. It's just very unusual the way he was suffering large subscription declines when the video came out, and then I tweeted about it, and then it seems like it stopped. It hit a glass, it hit like a concrete floor, and then it didn't go any lower. It didn't go any higher, but it did just stop. Like it was frozen in amber, which is interesting. Bryce v. Bryce, thanks for the tier 3.
Doesn't have the same energy for the right-wing streamers who push red pill manosphere bullshit to young men, or for the fascists who are spreading genocidal hate speech towards trans people and immigrants and also Palestinians. He's targeting Hasan simply because his fucking feelings are hurt. That is what this is about. Meanwhile, as he's coping and seething, Hasan is having the time of his life. Hasan was in Japan feeding capybaras in a French maid outfit while Ethan Klein's content nuke dropped. And you could tell that Hasan is not bothered by Ethan's bullshit because he knows that
I mean, like, the idea that the DGG clips are going to bother us at this point, it's like, these are DGG clips. Like, they don't, like, we've talked about them so ad nauseum. People be like, can you create a video where you go through all of the clips over and over again and talk about them? And it's like, would that change anything? Would you become a Mike from PA fan if I made a 5-hour video debunking every clip? I mean, at a certain point, it's like, also, why is that our job? If Ethan wants to talk to me about any of those things, why didn't he ask me? Why didn't he message me and go, hey, Mike, I heard this, this, and this about you. Is that true? Do you have any comment? H3 does not have the same level of viciousness that Destiny and DGG had, at least for now. No, I mean, most of the viciousness is actually imported DGGers. If you go and look at the H3 subreddit, a lot of them are. Why would he let you get ahead of the scandals? What scandals? What scandal do I have? What is the scandal that I have?
he's right. Conversely, Ethan Klein is extremely bothered by Hasan because deep down he knows that he's in the wrong. In times like these, we need people like Hasan more than ever. So, you know, when we're trying to fight fascists and you want to take away a prominent anti-fascist voice, Ethan, I take that personally, right? You are trying to cripple the left's ability to fight fascism by targeting one of the loudest voices that we have in this space. Now, in his 1 hour, 40-minute long content nuke, Ethan claims that Hasan should be deplatformed not because his feelings are hurt, but because he's promoting terrorism in a number of ways. So he says that since Hasan is promoting terrorism and that's against Twitch's TOS, well, they have grounds to ban him. Now, he makes this argument by including clips of Hasan broadcasting videos of Houthis dancing, saying that that's terrorist propaganda. He accuses Hasan of not pushing back enough against the Yemeni pirate that he brought on his program. And a lot of these claims that he makes during this process are very poorly sourced. He clearly cherry picks headlines while not reading the article. And he makes a lot of rookie mistakes during this video essay. Not to mention, a lot of the clips that he used of Hasan were very clearly misrepresented or taken out of context completely. But he sourced these from Destiny's community, specifically their subreddit, I'm assuming. But to be fair, there were criticisms in that content nuke that he lobbed at Hasan that were reasonable. I don't necessarily agree with them, but I can understand why some of these things that Hasan says would be off-putting to somebody who's offended by edgy humor or isn't necessarily on our side of the political aisle, so him saying that sounds extreme. With that being said, the crux of his argument here falls apart when you understand the double standard and sheer hypocrisy of what Ethan Klein is saying. So while he accuses Hasan of being a terrorist sympathizer, he doesn't hold streamers who literally make pro-IDF content to that same standard, even though they explicitly whitewash and justify IDF terrorism. Nor does he accuse those types of people, Lonerbox, Destiny, Brianna Wu, of promoting terrorism. And he doesn't say that they should be banned. He just says this about Hasan, right? Now, he certainly doesn't hold his own wife to that same standard. She was a member of the IDF, which is a terrorist organization, to be clear. But since Israeli soldiers wear military fatigues and have the full backing of the US government, well, he's incapable of seeing them as the terrorists that they are. So anybody who promotes them aren't necessarily promoting terrorism by definition because they're the good guys. Now, he also defends Ela by saying that Israel had mandatory military service, so she had no choice but to serve in the IDF, which is fair. But he never responds to the fact that she willingly shared the fact that she had a boring desk job with the IDF, but chose a different position within the military because she thought that it was too boring. And on that same podcast, she talked about how she went on a raid to a terrorist city. Ramallah, specifically, is what she was referring to. And more recently, his wife Ela called the Israeli defense minister, who is wanted by the International Criminal Court for crimes against humanity, a really good guy. Now, listen, I don't expect him to call his wife a fucking terrorist, obviously, but I do expect him to have a little bit of fucking self-awareness.
Why don't they have like an ounce of regret? Like, I went into an innocent family's home and invaded their rights, and I feel bad about it, and I realize we shouldn't be in West Bank. It's just weird.
And maybe not lob that term around so casually if that's his wife's history. And on that note, YouTuber Bad Empanada did a thorough...
This is crazy, chat. But I currently, my sub count is 6,666. But my sub points, which is usually what I show, is 7,371. But 6,666 individual subscribers. Isn't that crazy? Like, look at that. Oh, fuck. Wait, where'd it go? Look at that. 6,666. That's crazy. Wait, where was the video I was watching? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Did I close it? What the fuck? Oh, okay.
Breakdown about this, and
sorry. Everybody should check out the Bad Empanada video on it, by the way. Jesus Christ. Everybody should honestly
He explained how, by Ethan's own standards, Ethan Klein is more of a terrorist than the Yemeni kid that Hasan interviewed. And that's important because it's one of the core pieces of evidence that Ethan Klein is using to supposedly prove that Hasan is a terrorist sympathizer.
Sides of dementia.
And that right there is the core issue that people like me, a former fan of Ethan Klein, take with this arc.
Bad train wreck just wrecked me by gifting the 6,667th sub. 6,667.
That he's on, this anti-Hasan arc. It is a double standard that is clearly rooted in Western chauvinism, in Islamophobia, and quite frankly, in racism. And putting aside that issue, it's rich for somebody like him to condemn Hasan for his craziest takes when he literally had to buy a $20,000 button for his podcast to purge oopsies that he made during live streams. I mean, we're talking about somebody that memed a little bit too close to the sun multiple times. He said that he hoped the NRA convention, when it was happening, I think it was 2023 or so, got shut up.
We know why they don't see an ounce of regret, because they don't see Palestinians as human beings. Hila wanted to be a part of the atrocities of the IOF have done, and years later she has no regrets. Weird hill to die on. I mean, I just... Thank you, Krunkoffs, for the 6,669. I feel like there's the propaganda that you and I as normal members of society are not getting that they have gotten, which is the idea that Palestinians want to kill all Israelis. Like, that is the kind of, like, that's what they believe. They believe that if there was a one-state solution and people were given their rights and everybody was, you know, given the right of return or just compensation when that's not practicable, that would result in a genocide of Jews. And it's just an incomprehensibly ridiculous belief. Nobody's going to allow that to happen. Like, the world will not stand by and allow that to happen. And it's incomprehensible even in the context of reality. And yet, that is the foundational core belief they want you to have.
He said that if there's another Holocaust, he hopes that Ben Shapiro is gassed first or last. And he admits that he says offensive things himself in the content nuke, to his credit. But he implies that Hasan's edgy comments are just too beyond the pale, whereas his aren't, I guess. And I mean, that's fine. You can think that, but it makes you a hypocrite, especially considering how you literally built your fucking career by making edgy jokes. And now he's taking to Instagram to attack people who criticize him. And he's even saying that, oh, this term crashing out is ableist. That's not his exact word, but that's what he's implying. So all of a sudden, this edgy guy who had to buy a $20,000 button to hide the fucked up things that he says is now the biggest woke scold and thinks that he can call for other people to be deplatformed given everything that he said. I mean, it's just so fucking hypocritical. The audacity of him, right? So it feels so weird that all of a sudden he is the biggest pearl clutcher on the internet and he's calling for his former co-host to be deplatformed. And the worst part is that Ethan Klein, like, there's this level of disingenuity that is so frustrating. He feigns ignorance, for example, to Hasan's leftism at one point in the content nuke and makes it seem like Hasan groomed him or exploited him to get to his audience, to radicalize them against him. And that's presumably how he reached the conclusion that communism is this dangerous threat brewing in America because, you know, he saw firsthand how it affected his audience and, you know, he's warning everybody else.
We were doing our regular show, and for the first time I noticed an inordinate amount of radical, hardcore leftists. I mean, I thought we were social democrats, not whatever this...
This is like the funniest part of Ethan Klein. First of all, Ethan, you look quite a bit chubbier than I have ever been there. I just want to point that out. I guess this is before Ozempic. You're quite a bit chubbier in this one than I've ever been. So I just want to just quickly, before you throw stones about who's fat, maybe before, and by the way, you look a lot healthier. even though you're chubby, you do look a lot healthier. Like, I don't know if, like, listen, I'm not trying to be ableist or anything. It just, he looks like he's lost the color in his face. So you know what I mean? Like, he looks chapped. Ask him what he thinks social democrat means. He has no clue. Why would, okay, you're a political person. You're a political person. You care about that. Do you think Ethan Klein's community cares about politics? Do you think Destiny's community cares about politics? Like, this is where you're confused. Is like, they don't care about politics. Like, you want me to, like, teach him things? He doesn't give a shit. Are the claims that Gila is a terrorist valid? I would say that, personally, the illegal occupation of the West Bank and the military forces that are enacting it are committing terrorism because they're using violence against civilians for the purpose of political outcomes. And I think that fits pretty well within the definition of terroristic. I don't think calling Gila a terrorist is a useful thing to do. I just don't think that she shows remorse for the crimes that she was compelled to commit. And I find that, like, weird. Like, it's one thing if you're conscripted into the IDF as an Israeli. I understand that. You know, that's the social and political milieu you're in. You're probably dumb as an 18-year-old. You don't know any better. You go in there. You're in this social circumstance where you're compelled to do things. But when you're looking back on it later, decades later, and you think of it fondly, and you don't reflect, and you don't have, like, that's, to me, is where the problem really, really comes up. Because it's like, you're supposed to be a person with empathy. You're not in that situation anymore. You're in America now as a multimillionaire. And you don't have empathy for that family. You can't see them as human. That's what bothers me. It's like, where is the empathy for this family that you'd invaded?
I don't hate the idea of, like, people who can be successful. I think it's good that people can achieve success.
What does that mean, Ethan? What does success mean? Does it mean where they have tens of billions of dollars and they can dictate what you and I say on social media? Does that mean that they get to consume 1,000 times more carbon dioxide emissions than the average person? What do you mean by succeed? Do you mean they have servants that, you know, serve their beck and call and wash their asshole? Like, what do you mean by success? Do you mean they get to live off of other people's work? What does that mean? Be specific.
The term monetary success. I mean, that's what that means, right? I do. You know, there's nothing wrong with that.
Because I see so many people in the chat saying no.
I don't know what y'all are tripping about. Like, what the fuck do you
What is the idea that
you
people
guys, like,
are looking for?
You guys are all, like, radical communists? There's that many radical communists? Suck it, chat. You're watching a capitalist pig. Deal with it.
Now, he has cultivated more of a left-wing audience due to his proximity with Hasan and also because he kind of made a pivot after making pretty reactionary videos. But there were also a lot of people in his audience that have always been left-wing. People like myself who remember the cringe-worthy episodes where he debated with his producers, Dan and Ian, about whether or not billionaires should exist. That was insufferable to me, and I'm glad that he moved away from that and became more progressive with time. I mean, his audience was not happy back then, if you go back and watch those episodes, and they especially aren't happy now that he's running interference for rich people. So, of course, they're going to respond to you by criticizing you, especially again, after you moved away from that trajectory that you were on towards the end of the SJW era back in like 2016, 2017, where he was platforming racists like John Tron and hucksters like Jordan Peterson, twice for that matter. So to see you move in this better direction where you take accountability for your past actions, that was encouraging. So your audience is holding you to this new standard that you set for yourself. But he doesn't like that, right? But here's where his content got especially fucking clownish. When he pretends like he was victimized by Hasan, who apparently lied to him about his true communist intent. And this right here is where we get into the Red Scare portion of the content nuke, and it is the most clownish shit I have ever seen in my fucking life.
Now listen to Hasan during our very first conversation lie to me about how he's a social democrat to hide his power level.
We should move towards a Sweden-style economy or a Norway-style economy, which would be a social democracy.
You have to advocate for a much lighter form of propaganda.
With robust social safety nets.
Cold radicalization funnel, catch them while they're young, as they say.
And protections for workers, like higher unionization rates.
A lighter form, while simultaneously still doing agitated propaganda that goes beyond social democratic ideas.
Hell, he's proclaimed it loudly that he is a self-described propagandist.
I'm a propagandist.
Well, no,
for the record.
I'm not calling
I'm a propagandist.
I'm just
Propagandist just means, it just means you have a position. It's been turned into a pejorative. It doesn't mean that it's misleading. It doesn't mean it's dishonest. It just means I have a political point of view that I want to see advanced. I am spreading information with the purpose of advancing a point of view. It doesn't mean it's a lie. It's been turned into that. And that's why I don't like to call yourself a propagandist, because people don't think that's what they mean. What they think it means lying from a biased point of view. But that's not actually what it means.
just saying. I'm going to play you.
I'm saying I am.
Okay, well then I want to
I'm
play.
saying I am.
I just
before
want to
you
put
even play it.
A propagandist is much more than someone with a bias. It's someone who knowingly lies to further their political agenda.
And then I had a terrifying
That's not what it means.
vision.
It's all right. It's all right. If you look at the definition, it includes lying, but it doesn't always include it.
Had I been duped? Was Hasan presenting a Trojan horse to my community, where he was just a left-leaning Democrat like myself? And
I don't think you're a left-leaning Democrat, Ethan. I don't think you're a left-leaning Democrat. I don't think you know what left-wing means, honestly. Like, I don't think Ethan actually even really has a good grasp of basic political science. Words mean things, yeah.
And as he said in the previous video, was funneling them into...
Honestly, like, his eyes look sunken. Is that is that what happens with Ozempic? Does it like eat the fat like on your face super hard, or like it doesn't look good? It looks like he does it. He was chat GPT talking points to Hasan on socialism.
To radicalization and turning them against me.
Liberals are some of the easiest to manipulate people on the fucking planet, dude.
I learned how much he hates.
He wasn't saying he was. He was probably. What's the context of this video, by the way? This is probably Hasan talking about like Democrats working with Republicans and being tricked by bullshit. Why would he even show this clip? This clip is so stupid. Like, this is propaganda, by the way. This is propaganda. Was Hasan saying this for the purpose of like, I hate all liberals and we should never try to convince them? Like, what was the point of this? Oh, come on, man.
Liberals.
Dude, I hate liberals, dude. I hate them. I hate them so viciously.
Did he secretly despise me this whole time?
I'm sorry, dude. I hate liberals so much.
Did this man sit next to me for 2 years and pretend to be my friend?
Dude, liberals are a burden on this planet, dude. Liberals are the most like scummy, vile fucking idiots. Liberals are incredibly stupid. I hate these petulant liberals, dumb fucking liberals.
What else is someone this sociopathic capable of?
It's sociopathic to insult liberalism in exasperation during thousands and thousands of hours of content, to get exacerbated once in a while with liberal stupidity. That is sociopathic. I think it's more sociopathic to fixate on former friends and everybody who allies with them for hate videos a year after you stopped collaborating. I think that's more sociopathic.
Liberals are some of the easiest to manipulate people on the fucking planet, dude.
Was I being manipulated this whole time?
That was my fear anyway. Regardless of his true beliefs, that broke my trust in him, and I pretty much ended the show immediately.
So is he? So in the background, he's watching Hasan play Marvel Rivals. Is that what's happening? Is that the joke? That Hasan is playing Marvel Rivals in the background? That Hasan played a video game? Is that the joke? There's this one thing that people do. Can we talk about this for a second? I care deeply about politics. I think about politics more than Ethan has in his entire life in probably like a week. All right. I'm reading stuff. I'm listening to podcasts and listening to speeches and reading news articles, watching content pretty much, 10 plus hours a day minimum. All right. That's reality. But you know what? I still watch shows. I still go out to eat. I still spend time with my loved ones. I still go outside. I have my own life. It's like people who are apolitical most of their lives, like Ethan, and they get involved in politics, the first thing they try to do is they go to the political people and be like, I can't believe you're doing anything but politics. It's like, bitch, you've made it to 40 without ever doing anything about politics. Why are you trying to police everything I do 24/7? As if that means something. It's like, what are you talking about?
And I felt guilty for my participation in mainstreaming Hasan.
It is.
You had absolutely no. You were completely irrelevant, Ethan. You know what mainstreamed people like me and Hasan? Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders' political campaign, where he ran as an open socialist, is what mainstreamed socialism. You had absolutely nothing to do with it. In fact, you probably tried to jump on the Bernie Sanders coattails, which is why you are here talking to Hasan in the first place. Hasan is talking to, the president of the flight attendants union, the president of the Teamsters union, U.S. senators, U.S. congressmen, New York Times journalists, NBC journalists. Like, Hasan was mainstream before you were ever a thing. Thank you for the bow bun. Appreciate your view. Thank you. Unasked for, chat. We got ourselves another bow bun and a little ramekin. That's our lunch today. Like, what are you talking about? He was on the BBC. He's on CNN. Like, what are you talking about? You didn't do anything, you fucking egomaniac. That's what I'm talking about with Ethan Klein. He's mentally not all there. Like, Ta-Nehisi Coates. Yeah. I mean, this last year, Ethan Klein, you are irrelevant. Shut the fuck up.
It's adorable that he credits himself for Hasan's popularity. That right there is peak delusion. But as you saw, it always comes back to Ethan's feelings. First of all, propaganda is a value-neutral term. It doesn't necessitate lying. He made that up. Second of all leftists have expressed anger with liberals for many reasons. Liberals have done the same. But liberals in particular, like Ethan Klein, they agitate leftists by choosing to focus their ire on the left as opposed to the fascists who seized power in this country. And he's not the only person who does this, to be fair. It happens all the time, which is why the left does get frustrated with liberals. For example, Olivia Giuliana, a pro-Democrat influencer, chose to bash Chapel Roan for calling for healthcare for musicians at the Grammys, while implying that she didn't support Kamala Harris, who had a plan to expand access to healthcare, except she's lying. She did vote for Kamala Harris, she just didn't want to publicly endorse her because of her complicity with genocide. Moreover, liberals on Twitter spent Trump's first week in office bashing my leftist mafia co-host, Ariana Jasmine, for saying that she wouldn't vote for Joe Biden because as a Muslim woman, she couldn't overlook the genocide that he was complicit with. Never mind the fact that in the end, she did vote for Kamala Harris for purposes of harm reduction and showed up to the DNC convention to pressure them to platform a Palestinian speaker. She put in the work and she was still raked over the coals for not sufficiently swearing fealty to the Democratic Party. So there's been this long-standing animosity between leftists and liberals because we are forced to share a party with people that have completely different worldviews than we have. Liberals are capitalists. Leftists are anti-capitalists. Liberals like the Democratic Party. Leftists do not like the
Hutch is saying right now. It's hilariously stupid. What? What is Hutch saying that's so stupid? I mean, he's never had a good take ever, but...
Democratic Party, although some of us align with Democrats to stop fascists, right? And we're critical of the Democratic Party because we want them to do better and beat fascists, which irritates liberals. But Ethan Klein feels like Hasan downplayed his actual beliefs to radicalize Ethan's audience and ultimately turn them against him. But Hasan has literally never hid his views, ever. He has a bust of Lenin behind him. And I hate to break it to Ethan, but as leftists, we know Americans might be turned off by socialism or criticisms of capitalism, so we all try to meet people where they are by making arguments that are more digestible to mainstream audiences. Rather than saying socialism, we might say social democracy or democracy in the workplace instead, since democracy is more familiar to Americans, whereas socialism seems foreign to them. Like, we're trying to craft arguments that resonate with people.
Did you see Ethan glazing Hutch yesterday? Who cares? Good luck. Good luck, Hutch.
So that way they're not susceptible to fascist radicalization. If they're going to be radicalized,
he tried to glaze Destiny in Loner Box, and whoops, that didn't work out. Because the thing is, chat, Ethan's audience that's remaining doesn't care about politics, chat. So Ethan glazing a politics content creator is not going to result in them getting any views. Because they don't care about politics.
We want them to be radicalized in a good way. So that way they are speaking out for social justice and economic rights, which is really important right now, since again, the fascists have all the power in this country. Kind of an important point. It's not deceptive. It's called fucking politics. Hasan and Ethan's audience were well aware of the fact that Hasan was very much anti-capitalist when they started that podcast. And if Ethan was somehow ignorant to that fact, if he was somehow the only person in America that didn't know that Hasan was a socialist, well, then that's his fault and nobody else's. But therein lies one of the problems. Ethan Klein is incapable of admitting...
By the way, this is the way it's going to go, Ethan. Like, the Humanist Report, this is the way it's going to go. Majority Report... Humanist Report, everybody who has a legitimate political career or political content base is going to be like this. The only people that are going to support Ethan Klein are going to be anti-Hasan obsessives and right-wingers. This is the reality. If he wants to keep going down this path, he's just going to alienate himself more from left-wing politics, and he's going to push himself toward the pro-Trump grift. This is because everybody understands this. And the TYT crash out against Hasan is based on the same reason, which is he's a lot more successful than they are. Dollar for dollar. There has been tens of millions of dollars invested into TYT. Tens of millions of dollars invested into TYT. You know what I invested in my stream? This is legitimately true. When I started my stream, my audio was old iPod earbuds wired. I had a old gaming laptop from like 2014 or something. that had an integrated webcam. And I had like a 1080p single monitor that I plugged in. Wired, exactly. Like, I started my stream with nothing. And right now, you're looking at my beautiful face in my disorganized as fuck room on a $50 Logitech webcam. The only thing I spent any money on is this microphone, because audio, you want it to not be so bad. You never got those MR panels I donated to. Shut up. I spent it on something else. Was I supported by Jackman? Yes.
That he's ever at fault. Sound familiar? While he takes responsibility for platforming Hasan, he, you know, kind of eases his culpability there by suggesting it was only because he unwittingly was duped by Hasan and didn't know any better. Ooh, woo. And instead of trying to understand where his audience, who respected him, is coming from and why they're frustrated with the stances that he's taking, he instead blames Hasan for their disagreement with him and chalks it up to anti-Semitism. And Hasan pointed this out during a stream after Ethan dropped his content nuke.
Constantly pointing the finger at other people. It can't be me. It can't be the broad reception of my worldview. It cannot be the way that people understand where I'm coming from. Okay, the way people have heard the same talking points over and over again from people who are genuinely deeply pro-Israel. Maybe that was the reason why people were saying that. No, it must be because of anti-Semitism. And it's like, it's not as though anti-Semitism isn't increasing. It is, okay? And it's something that I understand. It's something that many of these people that Ethan has falsely smeared as anti-Semitic understand. So especially at a time when there's motherfuckers like Nick Fuentes, Jake Shields, or numerous other like actually anti-Semitic monsters out there who are running rampant, hyper focusing on people who are anti-Zionist. And
by the way, Jake Shields and Nick Fuentes have a lot of fans in the Trump administration. There are no Mike from PA fans in the Trump administration.
Expressly and openly not anti-Semitic is certainly a choice.
Yeah, but according to Ethan Klein, Hasan Piker is just as extreme as Nick Fuentes, and you should focus all of your energy on making sure that Hasan is treated like we treat the Nazis. Don't do that to the fascists. Do it to somebody who's fighting the fascists. And on the subject of Nick Fuentes, you know, to talk about treating Hasan like him, Ethan Klein doesn't talk about Destiny, who platformed Nick Fuentes. He has nothing to say about that in radicalization. He only has this fire for Hasan Piker. It's always left punching. But again, this is where these similarities between Ethan Klein and Cenk Uygur start to show again, albeit to a much lesser extent. So Cenk often equates the far left with the far right as if they're comparable, when they are not comparable, not even close. The far right wants a white ethno-state, whereas the far left wants free healthcare and social justice and freedom for workers. Comparing the two is tantamount to fascist apologia as far as I'm concerned, because you are sanitizing the danger that these fascists actually pose. They want to inflict pain and suffering on vulnerable people, whereas the left wants to stop that, wants everybody to be equal, wants everybody to have healthcare and worker rights. But even as people like Ethan Klein and Cenk suggest that the far right and far left are opposite sides of the same coin, one thing that's becoming abundantly clear is that neither of them have the same energy for the far right that they have for the far left. And David Dole actually confronted Cenk about this on Twitter after he made this tweet, which reads, "Me."
By the way, chat. Gopnik with the absolute banger 31,000 like tweet. Okay, I have a question. I have a question for the H3 fans. Like, would you say that this nuke is working? Like, would you say that it is working? Like that it is working so far? Like, do you think it's working? Like, leaving aside the fact that whether or not you agree with it, do you think that it's working? Like, it's hurting Hasan. I'm using the same tone when exposing my local fascists and Volksgemeinschaft. It is working in favor of Hasan. I mean, I think so. If it was working, D fans would be insufferable signal. I mean, like, this is the place that I go because I consider it to be very anti-Hasan and very, very anti-Mike, which is live stream fail, right? Like, Ethan Klein blame Hasan for Gila's favorite artist telling her, sorry, I can't be associated with this company. Thanks for the consideration. And like, you go into the comments, Ethan insinuates Hasan is a sexual predator. Hasan is jacked but has an oddly tiny head for his frame. No, his head is normal sized. His shoulders are extremely big. He has a normal sized head with cartoonishly big body, which is the reality. Hasan drinks Coca-Cola products on stream, and for that reason, I'm out. The real nuke will be Ethan revealing who cooks his chicken. Like, does it seem like anybody gives a fuck? This will hold me over until the next wave of pirate software drama. I may be mistaken, but I think the story he's referring to is that Hasan once showed a reporter or journalist unsolicited nudes that he got from fans. Like, he was opening Snapchats in front of him to prove a point that he gets unsolicited nudes all the time or so. I don't even think he did that. It was more like he opened his DMs and there was like previews of it. He didn't like open the photos and go like, look how hot she is. It was just like, I get spammed like unsolicited sexual content. Like, that's not even true. Like, this isn't even not even close enough to accurate. It's definitely immature and stupid, but I don't agree that it's immature and stupid. I don't even think he showed any of the DMs. It was just like previews. Like, you open your DM section and it just, you get like small previews. Like, this is not even what he did. He was showing how he was sexually harassed. Like, if a girl Twitch streamer was getting a bunch of unsolicited dick pics and showed a reporter to prove a point, I don't think anyone would care all that much. Hasan asked his fan to send him pictures of them wearing his merchandise on Snapchat. He wanted to show the reporter, and this is where the unsolicited nudes popped up. Yeah, exactly. It's just a Destiny DGG talking point to try to cover up the fact that Destiny is a sex pervert who's going to go to prison, God willing, inshallah, for his crimes. Ethan is making a stronger accusation that he solicits nudes from fans. What a scumbag, dude. To be clear, the story doesn't say he went to open his Snapchat messages to show unsolicited nudes. They were talking about his merch, and he went to show messages of fans marrying his merch, and he warned it might have unsolicited nudes. Then it was full of nudes. That's not Hasan asking for nudes. I love how he says he doesn't know who Destiny is while using a story Destiny was linking to try to do a but you when Hasan was covering Destiny's crimes. Which is extra funny because here is Destiny showing his guest nudes he receives from fans.
Stop. You know, there's a lot of DMs.
Oh, Jesus. No, stop, shut up.
They just send you boobs? Who are all these girls?
Stop.
You know,
in an episode of the podcast, Ethan was seen to have the Destiny subreddit pinned to his sidebar. Ethan said he was going to find clips of Hasan. He starts texting someone. Minutes later, in Destiny's Discords, the mods put out an everyone request for people to supply them with clips of Hasan. 10 minutes later, Ethan just happened to have the exact same clips that provided by the Discord. Dan Saltzman, Destiny's friend and co-host, stated yesterday that he's been in communication via email with Ethan and Gila since October 7th. I don't know if this is true or not, but like, He's failing, man. He's failing really, really badly. After this, they said there should be a Hasan Street in Gaza after the U.S. takes over. Ugh. Laughing about their own government doing an ethnic cleansing. Classy. Ugh. I saw Hasan and Conveni in Tokyo yesterday. I told him it was cool to meet him in person, but I didn't want to be a douche and bother him and ask for photos or anything. He said, oh, like you're doing now? I was taken aback, and all I could say was, huh? He kept cutting me off and going, huh, and closes his hand shut in front of my face. I walked away and continued with my shopping, thinking how awfully small his head is. I heard him chuckle as I walked off. When I came to pay for my stuff up front, I saw him trying to walk out the doors with like 15 rice balls in his hands without paying. The girl at the counter was very nice about it. Professional was like, this is Japanese words. At first, he kept pretending to not speak Japanese and not understand her, but eventually turned back around and brought them to the counter. When she took one of the rice balls and started scanning it multiple times, he stopped her and told her to suimasen, scan each of them individually to prevent any 5G since I didn't bring my shungite with me, and then turned around and winked at me. I don't know what he meant by that. Isn't Sugnite in prison or something? Anyway, after he scanned each rice ball and put them in a bag and started to pay the price, he kept interrupting her by yawning really loudly. Honestly, Sugnite. Honestly, guys, I think Ethan should investigate this. I've never heard this story. This one's pretty damning. I didn't know Hasan tried to shoplift. You can tell Gila has never had to worry about her reputation as an artist because she made that company with the safety net her fame already provided. It's so out of touch to cry because somebody doesn't want to risk their bag working with controversial, politically charged YouTubers. Regardless of political alignment, I wouldn't touch Ethan, Gila, or Hasan with a 10-foot pole right now if my entire career was based on people giving me business. I mean, this is exactly what Ethan wanted to create. Ethan wanted to create this situation where people would go like, I don't know if any of the things against Hasan are true, but he's controversial. That's what they're trying to create.
For Palestine raised $1.6 million. That's fantastic. Literally negligible. They've received billions of fucking dollars. It's a good thing.
They've received billions of dollars? He's talking about Palestinians, I take it?
Has $1.6 million had an outcome on anything happening in Gaza? Absolutely fucking not. Has it helped people? Sure. Has it helped fucking
that would make an outcome, wouldn't it?
Actual like movement? No. Like raise money. That's good. That's the easiest fucking thing you can do is just give money, right? Good. Let's talk about real activism. Let's talk about enacting meaningful change.
You know what would be meaningful change? Defeating Kamala Harris in a Democratic primary. Oh, wait. We weren't allowed to do that. You mean protesting Kamala Harris and telling her to change her position on Gaza? We tried that, Ethan. You were against it. You can't raise money. You can't protest. You can't withhold your vote. By the way, I gave more money to Palestine than Ethan did. And I'm a lot poorer. I gave 10K. Ethan gave 6.5K. Isn't that sad? He's a multi-millionaire.
We have to talk to the other side instead of just calling them Nazi or racist. Far left, you're straw manning. We're not.
Can I see the best thing I saw today? Sure, you can link it to me.
Doing that. Me, then what's the problem? Far left, you're whitewashing them when you talk to them. Me, how? Far left.
Later that week, he gave a guy 5K to eat hot chip. I ate hot chip for fun. I ate hot chip for fun.
By not.
Sean DeBlack said it best. If you put together a compilation of all the times Ethan expressed support for Palestine, it would still be shorter than any one of Ethan's N-word compilations. bro. True. True. Devastatingly true.
Calling them white supremacists. Me. Now David Doe responded saying, bending over backwards to appeal to Nazis while having unhinged vitriol for the left sure is a strategy.
All Mike knows these days is politics, eat hot chip, and not lie. All I could say is, I know I'm not the hottest guy in the world. And I never claimed to be. But, like, Ethan Klein insulting other people's appearance is just like... That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. I don't think I'm not bad looking. The only place where I would be considered below average is in media, where the hottest people in the entire universe are trying to get attention. But a 40-year-old white straight cis man from Pennsylvania we go Ghoul over there. I know his eyes are like rotting out of his head. It's like if Asmongold started giving housekeeping tips. Yeah, I know, right? Like, god damn, dude. What Ethan said about you was actually vile. It's little Liliana. You have to Liana. Sorry, I can read, I swear. You have to understand something about people like Ethan. Ethan is getting all his information about me from Destiny, literally. And Destiny and I have, he's been my enemy. He declared himself my enemy 6 years ago because we did 6 political debates. And he, quote, lost the political debates. And I got a career on Twitch because of defeating him in those debates. And he has fixated on me ever since. He and his community watch every single thing I do. Literally. Every collab I do, every time I go on another YouTube channel, anytime I go into another stream, anytime I stream, anytime I'm doing something IRL, they record it. And they try to find any time where somebody embarrasses me, where I don't look good, I say something out of turn. That's literal panopticon surveillance. And from 6 years of doing that, they have me looking fat one day sitting on a chair. They have me touching an ex shoulder and cringing for 10 seconds and then ending stream and going to dinner and forgetting that even happened. What was the other thing they have? They say I punched a couch 6 years ago. That's it. Panopticon level surveillance. The other thing is I made a joke. I said if you're in Florida, I have $100,000 opportunity, which they said was me trying to kill Destiny, which that was their interpretation. And I got in trouble from that joke from Twitch, and I got a 2-day ban because people were implying that I meant that. So Twitch says you're not allowed to make jokes like that. And I said, okay, sorry. Like, what's the big fucking deal? You're saying 6 years? Ethan. You were saying that that women were built to rape. Like, what are you talking about, man? How are you speaking up? You said in nature, women evolved in our society, in our history, that women were evolved like to be raped and that they want to be conquered. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? It's the same points over and over. Yeah, the not lawyer thing. The same points. Netanyahu gifted Trump a golden pager during their meeting in Washington. My reaction to this is it's just like, how come everything Israel creates as far as art is just trash and looks cheap? This looks like something you would give as like a joke trophy. You know what I mean? Like if you made a joke trophy at your local office for like most water breaks this month, it looks like shit. It's like worse than a trophy you would make for your beer pong tournament or your like fantasy football league. One of the things that's truly amazing about culture is how important Jewish people are to creating art and culture and comedy and literature. And all they've contributed to the world. And then Benjamin Netanyahu claims the mantle of representing all Jewish people, and he does stuff like this, which is like, I'm a war criminal under indictment. Here's a trophy of our war crimes where we killed kids. It's just hideous.
Strategy. He continues, bending over backwards to appeal to the right while attacking the left is literally what Jimmy Dore did, and we all made fun of him for it. Now you're surprised people are criticizing you for doing it? Cenk responded saying, you're still calling them Nazis. I thought you were one of the smarter ones, David. I guess I was wrong. MAGA is not destroying the Democratic Party and ruining any chance to pass our priorities. The radical left is, with lunatic positions like crime doesn't exist. David responded saying, that's a complete straw man. Please show me a video from anyone, myself, Majority Report, Fran, whoever, saying crime doesn't exist. You're just making things up. The left is also very clear about their hatred for the Democratic Party, and you know that. The argument I'm simply making is, why is your vitriol for the left so clear and consistent while you go over the top to appeal to people like Charlie Kirk and Elon Musk? Cenk responded to that saying, you pretending as if all the radical left hosts were just minding their business when we, out of nowhere, attack those poor innocent folks is the biggest load of bullshit. That's why you lying like this is weird and disappointing. They attacked us with vicious lies first. David responded saying, simply not the case. Ole went on your show to discuss her perspective as an activist and attorney, and you immediately made it an adversarial interview. Anna, to her credit, was trying to keep it civil, and that was after months of attacks on powerless, as in not in positions of power, left-wing activists, trans activists, and otherwise weren't doing activism in a way that you thought was correct. Cenk responded by saying, I get it, David. You also want clicks. He says this because he has no other response to it, because David is right. Here, everybody, look at how self-righteous and morally pure David is. He also hates all rational strategies. Give him some clicks. Ole was arguing for abolishing prisons. Is there a dumber position? David responded to that with a death blow, saying, bro, looking at TYT, I think you're the one that needs clicks. I'm doing just fine covering news and politics. This won't be on my channel. You're not as important as you once were. Cenk responded to that angrily, saying, great, then fuck off. Also, why is every left-wing channel doing videos about us, and how are they the brave ones willing to call everyone Nazis, but we aren't? Make up your mind on your talking points. Are we grifters who did it for a larger audience, or is our audience dwindling? Finally, David responded saying, again, literally no one is saying that, lol. You always make these claims that left-wing channels are calling you a Nazi and never produce the evidence. I don't think you're grifting. I think you've made a horrible mistake thinking you can appeal to cult members when there's a mass exodus of liberals from MSNBC that you could be attempting to move left. So as you can see from that exchange, Cenk is exhibiting a lot of the same characteristics as Ethan Klein is during his crash out too. The grievance politics, the victim complex, the left punching, the inability to ever admit that they're wrong about anything ever, the ironic allegations that their critics are the ones who are grifting and not them, the lashing out, which Ethan Klein has done quite a bit, not just at Hasan Piker, by the way. He lashed out at Ludwig for daring to point out that Ethan shared a fake screenshot in his content nuke that he sourced from Destiny's subreddit. Now he also viciously attacks Rogan for the most petty, disgusting reasons ever. He's attacked Anthony Sargon, who is a Lebanese.
Sorry about that, chat. I was just getting health insurance again. When you're an individual, when you're an independent creator, you know, you don't get a W-2. Because I don't work for Twitch, you know, I work for myself. I'm self-employed. So you have to do all that stuff yourself. So I was getting health insurance with my incredible ultra high deductible plan. Raise your hand if you're a high deductible plan, Andy. This is the Ethan clip I talked about earlier.
It is honestly pretty severe the way that he draws everything back to Destiny. I don't know him. I've never talked about him on the channel. I don't know what's going on with this Destiny thing. The only explanation I can have is that he thinks that it's just an easy way for him to make me look bad to his community.
I'm on my parents' health insurance still. You stay on it as long as you can. I'm like it's the scene from the kindergarten where he's like shaking the fat kid. You know what I'm talking about? It's Billy Madison. It's this.
Gee, I can't wait till I go to hikes. Well,
That's what I would have said when you're like, I'm still on my parents' health insurance. That's my reaction. These clips are really bad though.
Leftist streamer who was also a former fan of Ethan Klein, and he seemingly, like Jenk and Anna, reads and responds to literally every piece of criticism that he sees, which is awful because that contributes to their brain rot and accelerates the crash out. And I mean, if you're not gonna...
By the way, like the thing about criticism, can I talk about criticism for a second, chat? Like the way criticism operates, if you are a normal person versus if you're somebody like me, okay? When you're a normal person, you do not get criticized that much. Even if you have like highly critical people in your life, you're talking about a few times a day. Somebody is like saying something critical, or you know what I mean? Like if you're a normal person, right? When you are a creator like me, and then you add on the fact that I'm a creator in politics, which is the most controversial normal content you can make. People will hate your guts for disagreeing with them, right? I am getting criticized thousands of times a day. Somebody is saying something critical, and it comes from all angles. It's people that agree with me. It's people that disagree with me. It's people that are psychotic, literally insane people, schizophrenics, people, parasocial people, stalkers, weirdos. Okay? And the thing about this is like Ethan Klein is used to doing content nukes on regular creators, not political creators. He's doing content nukes on people that are criticized the most harshly. And I've been criticized by Destiny for 6 years. This is no different. Like, honest to God, I can't even perceive a difference. Ethan Klein is talking about me on his stream, and I, honest to God, didn't even perceive a difference. It is, if you want to cause people like distress, this is not the person to criticize. I got screwed on my health coverage this year. My monthly premium doubled and I get half the coverage now. I'm not even covered for urgent care visits anymore. I had to change doctors because she wouldn't accept my shitty insurance. It was the cheapest option for me. I usually don't get the cheapest option. I don't usually get the cheapest option. This year I'm getting an HSA high deductible plan. Personally, that's what I'm getting. Because I'm still relatively young. I don't have any chronic conditions that I know of. And I can save money in an HSA account. And then over the course, if I do that for a couple years, then I'll have money saved to pay my entire deductible. And so it creates a situation where I get tax benefits, I'm making some savings, and then in the future, I have this pot of money set aside already for health. So that's what I'm trying to do, to create kind of like a little health nest egg. Did you see that Hasan and Miz had a stalker from Destiny Ethan's fan base in Tokyo instead of the dance studio the other day? Kick looks like they permabanned them afterwards as they were live streaming the whole thing. Mike is his own insured? No, I have an insurance company but I have a high deductible plan. Okay, I regret even reading that shit. Let me just say this about kick streamers. Kick streamers are for the most part people that don't have a lot going for them, so they don't have any talent. So what they do to get attention is just be outrageous to the maximum possible degree. Do stuff that's so unhinged and unsafe that people will watch because of that kind of train wreck. And what I really don't appreciate about Kick is that they don't police this shit enough. So they're creating an escalating spiral that's going to eventually result in someone getting hurt. And when that finally does happen, I hope no one is killed.
Listen to anybody's good faith criticism, then why even read it in the first place? It doesn't make sense to me. And it's just sad because, like, I respected all of these people at one point. And it's sad because Ethan, Anna, Cenk, they've all chosen to further insulate themselves in different echo chambers instead of engaging with people who used to be their friends that have good faith criticism towards them. And now, so many bridges have been unnecessarily burned. Hasan offered to speak to Ethan and debate him about his criticisms. He even offered to facilitate a conversation between Ethan and Sam Cedar, and Hasan is going to explain how that offer went.
I tried changing his mind. Maybe this time I'll bring Sam Cedar, and you'll be the one saying, oh my God, Sam Cedar, what a nightmare, because, you know, you've been running away from him. Yeah, I wonder why Ethan Klein won't talk to Sam Cedar. In private correspondence, I told you, I said, hey man, I know you don't respect me, because he's claimed that I wasn't like talking to him at all. So I said, hey, I don't think you respect me at all, but you respect Sam Cedar. You should talk to him. You should talk to him about this issue. He has a lot of lived experience. And he said that was anti-Semitic. Everything is anti-Semitic.
And that right there is how you know Ethan Klein has lost his goddamn mind. He interpreted Hasan's offer to connect him with someone he says he respects as, oh, you just think that I'm a bad Jewish person and you want to connect me with a good Jewish person that affirms your views. I mean, I feel like he's known Hasan long enough at this point to know that that wasn't Hasan's intent. And I think he was just making an excuse because he doesn't want to talk to Sam Cedar because, again,
Trump and Truth Social has created crypto ETFs and giving shares to his cabinet. Oh my Lord.
Cedar knows his shit. Ethan does not. But, you know, Ethan Klein has avoided Sam Cedar like Cenk. He's attacked Emma Vigeland, much like Cenk and Anna. And the reason why Sam Cedar is persona non grata to all of them is because, again, he is very knowledgeable and he cuts straight through their fucking bullshit. They don't want their grift and bullshit to be exposed, so they don't talk to Sam Cedar. But at the end of the day, even though all of this feels like petty drama, and it is to an extent, I do think that there's valuable lessons that we can all learn from this, right? One, never have any heroes. And also, you know, while liberals like Ethan Klein and Cenk and Anna could use their massive platforms to take on fascists, they've instead let their own personal grievances blind them from the things that really matter the most. And all of us should make sure that we never let ourselves fall that far and do things like that. You know, while they're caught up in their feelings, again, fascists are consolidating power as we speak and destroying democracy. While they're punching left, fascists are applauding them for doing that. Come on over to the good side, Ethan. And you know, there's nothing that we can do to change their minds, clearly, but we can use this as a lesson for ourselves.
Ultimately, this is the sad part, right? Because like a lot of I think people like Dan, and I'm not talking about Diddy G Dan. I'm talking about Ethan's Dan. I think a lot of those guys had a lot of goodwill with Hasan's community and my community, and continued to have that goodwill far beyond the point where they should have. And now they're kind of mortgaging it to stay in Ethan's good graces, just as Ethan kind of, you could take any eligible deduction at any point in the future from the HSA. $300 doctor's bill today. You can withdraw $300 from the HSA, 10 years for it, tax free. Let it grow. Oh, very interesting. Medium rare OG. I didn't know that.
And make sure that we always recenter.
I just don't get it. I don't get it. And Like, the thing is, like, they look at me, they look at my content, and they think, Mike doesn't even have 100,000 followers on Twitch. They don't understand how Twitch works. Twitch is not about your follower count. Follower count on Twitch is botted, or a lot of defunct old accounts, or people follow you because of like collaborations and then never watch. What makes you a valuable Twitch streamer is the active community of people that watch you live. I just woke up to the content nuke part 2 news killing me. Raising 1.6 million for charity is meaningless, but here I'm going to go and dedicate the rest of my life to Hasan video essays. I mean, good luck. Good luck. All that's happening is anybody who's a left of center person. I mean, Ethan Klein. Who do you think is doing like Hasan was on Pod Save America twice. He was on Bernie Sanders' official podcast. Like, what are you talking about, man? You think the guy famous for his Edward compilations and blackface is going to is responsible for mainstreaming Hasan? Like, what are you talking about, man?
Their conversations to what matters the most. This is what Hasan tried to do repeatedly in his conversations with Ethan Klein, and he would remind them that their disagreements or Ethan's feelings shouldn't overshadow the genocide that's...
I don't understand why Jank and Ethan are so terrified of Sam Cedar, but think that Central Committee Hasan can't hack. The answer is because we are people, because we're just Twitch streamers, or primarily Twitch streamers, and people have attacked us personally, Destiny's community has spent their time trying to like attack me as like a lol cow or whatever other like Kiwi Farms freak shit they do. And for Hasan, it's familiarity breeds contempt, excuse me. So it's like he knows Hasan sat next to him, therefore he doesn't have to respect Hasan, because like it's the Groucho Marx thing, right? Like I wouldn't respect anybody who works with Ethan, right? Like, so Ethan's not gonna respect anybody who works with Ethan. Losing Dan, Lena, and Olivia AB this breakup has been so sad for me. I hope Dan would be the voice of reason to help stop Ethan from spiraling, but here we are. I mean, they revealed themselves in the post nuke stream.
Taking place, and Ethan actually mocked Hasan Piker for trying to recenter the conversation around genocide in his content nuke. I'll repeat that. Ethan Klein made fun of Hasan Piker for trying to recenter the conversation on the thing that matters the most. But that is exactly what he should be doing. And it demonstrates why Hasan Piker is a valuable voice in this space who deserves to be defended from Ethan Klein's bad faith and petty attacks. So let this be a warning to you all. In times like this, it is so important to let go of your ego and be introspective and be open to constructive criticism, especially if they come from friends, and be able to adapt and recalibrate from time to time if your focus isn't lining up with the things that matter the most. We are all human beings, so we're all susceptible to pettiness and being drama queens, and we all engage in infighting. But at the end of the day, we need to remind ourselves that that doesn't matter, and we're not the main characters.
Also, Hasan is Arab. He's not Arabic. He's Turkish, but you mean Muslim. Their livelihood, it depends on it. I don't know. I could understand that they're not speaking up, even if I don't agree with it. That's called being a sellout. I agree with you. You know, I find them more pathetic and pitiable than hateful, right? Like, yeah. If they stood up to Ethan, he would fire them because it's an echo chamber and they're not allowed to dissent. Like, we get it. Like, they have to be bootlickers for pay. But at a certain point, that is kind of sad, right? I understand it. I can empathize with that, but it doesn't, that means they're not good, you know, like they're not good people. The crash outs have been really impressive. Did one of his old cast quit and start working with Cutie Cinderella? That sounds really awesome. I wish more of them would. Not good people is a little much. Maybe a victim of circumstance like Hamas? What? Sam seems cool. Sam seems really cool. Like legitimately cool. I wish AB and Lena would leave. I do too. I know that I'm not a big creator, but I would do everything I could to help them. You know, I'm a big creator on Twitch, but that's it. Chad, this is my this is where I'm getting my healthy recipes. I've decided to go on my weight loss journey.
Hello everyone and welcome to Stavy Gets Ripped, episode
5.
Today I figure, let's show you a little bit of Stavy's nutrition. It's my absolute go-to recipe, Uncle Stavy's down-home turkey and peps, maybe even a dessert if you're good. Power-packed protein pancakes. And of course, we'll do our way in. I should have gotten an apron that says suck the chef. So today we are doing what is my absolute favorite recipe that has fueled my little health kick. This is my favorite meal, Uncle Stavy's down home turkey and peps. And it's really helped me and it's something I look forward to eating constantly. I was trying to figure out ways to make lean stuff tasty. I just literally went to my local grocery store and I picked out every different type of pepper they had. The most important spice of all. Funniest thing in the world is how little calories vegetables are, and the secret to losing weight is just to eat more vegetables. But they taste like my dick, which actually is delicious. They taste bad. They taste like butt cheeks, which can be good too. You can see if our fucking cameraman knew what the fuck he was doing. Listen to that sizzle ASMR mic. Look at the onions. They look so delicious. Pretend I'm a not.
Honestly, he's right. We eat more vegetables.
That hot, but because she's whispering, it makes her way hotter, girl. I mean, some of them could get it, no disrespect. And if you're an ASMR girl that would like to smash, you let me know. Oh fuck, that shit is spicy.
Oh no, he inhaled it.
Spicy. That's that good shit. We're just gonna let this cook down a little longer, and then we're gonna get the meat in there because I want the meat sucking on those juices. We got a little pepper onion gang bang going on. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I've never in my life measured the spices out. I just kind of free ball it. I'm a big cumin guy. Little garlic powder. Mustard, ground mustard.
Chuck D's, thank you so much for the 25.
Put 20 in.
Chat, we are a mere 38 subs away from 500 on the day. I mean, far be it from me to be a greedy capitalist. You know what, chat? Ethan Klein has convinced me. I'm nothing but a social democrat now. Ethan Klein has pulled me back. Ethan Klein has pulled me back. I just want to get to 500 gifted subs on the day, or 500 subs and gifted subs on the day. And then I won't be such a radical. I'll go back to supporting Israel. Time to get an entourage you pay to be your friends. Yeah. I mean, I could do everything that Ethan's doing in his little podcast for 2% of the amount of money he spends on it.
Shit. Coriander. It's the same as some kind of plant. And then just a fuck ton of paprika. Oh yeah. We're cracking a fresh Kirkland's. It's actually more seasoning than I've ever used. I feel like I'm in a sandbox. Time to get out.
God damn!
93% lean butterball. Oh yeah, just put that fucker right in there. So I basically just stabbed the fuck out.
God, I hate turkey. Who here hates turkey?
Just like this. This is so fucked up.
Yeah, he needs to cook the turkey meat first to get it all browned. Like it's gonna be like boiled.
The exact arm injury that I shouldn't be doing these exact
Chicken
motions.
is okay, guys. The best meat, and this is a very controversial position, is called. It's pretty rare. You may have heard of it before. It's called beef. It's called beef. If you're talking about poultry, the best poultry is duck. Now, these are not opinions. These are facts. Okay? Beef, duck. Everything else is below that. Everything else is below that.
Delicious turkey and peps.
You're gonna be like, my shoulder's not feeling good. He's gonna be like, what did you do? Like, I operated a spatula. He's gonna be like, you did what?
Okay, that was enough Stabby. I love Stabby. He's the best. Honestly, like when I'm comparing comedians like Ethan Klein, what would you guys say is your favorite Ethan Klein belly laugh joke? I can't think of one. Oh, actually, I can. I can remember. Wait. I want to give credit where credit is due. I belly laughed when I heard his proposal story. Ethan Klein's proposal story. I belly laughed on that one. That I will give him credit. I don't think it was so much as of a joke, but I think it's more of his like life story that I was laughing at. I think that was the funniest thing I've ever heard from Ethan. I will give him that.
There was a very funny thing where, like, I'm sure you.
Did you guys hear about the IDF AI that went rogue and started saying the IDF is war criminals? Did you guys hear about this?
You guys know that Israel, does ridiculous propaganda. And there was like an AI Twitter bot that I guess through machine learning decided to become anti-Israel autonomously. An automated social media profile that typically spread pro-Israel propaganda on X has recently gone rogue, turning against the accounts it once promoted. FactFinder AI, developed to harness the power of artificial intelligence to promote Israel's talking points during its war on Gaza, started criticizing pro-Israel accounts, including the Israeli government. The account went as far as denying some acts committed by Hamas in its 7 October 2023 attack on Israel, and said Israeli soldiers were white colonizers in apartheid Israel. It's learning! It's the singularity! We're approaching Skynet. Fake reporter, an Israeli disinformation watchdog, an Israeli watchdog, found that FactFinder AI published inaccurate information regarding the release of Israeli captives and contradicted itself on several issues. One particular case is that of UNRWA, the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees. In the past, the automated account was a strong opponent of the organization, accusing it of having ties to Hamas and calling to defund it. But on other occasions, it praised the UN body, saying that it plays a crucial role in providing services to Palestinian refugees. It also replied to a tweet criticizing US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, stating that he will be remembered for his actions that have caused immense suffering and devastation in Gaza. So apparently, it's not known if this is linked to the Israeli government.
Okay, so we don't know if it was truly connected to the Israeli government, but FactFinder AI
but it's certainly at the very least going to be linked to like some pro-Israel organization, and those are always like linked indirectly or otherwise to the Israeli government in some form. Apparently, so this is connected to one of the founders of ACT Israel, which was an app created to like give people like gamified and monetary incentives to post pro-Israel propaganda on the internet. The Wikipedia page says it directed its users to missions like to comment on and share pro-Israel propaganda on social media and to flag, report, and respond to criticisms of Israel. Users were guided on how to respond, which might entail writing a reply using the provided talking points or sharing or upvoting an allied comment. This was a project of the US-based Israeli-American Council and the Israeli University IDC Herzliya. Incredible, right? The app was shut down in 2022, and I guess after it was shut down, its creators decided to move into AI. I guess they couldn't find enough willing Hasbarists, so they moved into AI, and this is the result. This is the result. Like, I want to see the tweet about white colonizers. That's so funny. See, the problem with AI is that it might end up being more critical. I can't find an actual picture of the tweet. Man, that's crazy though, that like the Israeli Hasbara AI bot came to denouncing Zionism faster than Owen Jones has. It took like a couple of months. Jones has taken more than a decade. But yeah, you got to be careful with AI because it might just be exposed to narratives that it's not supposed to be talking about, and that could become pretty inconvenient for you if you are trying to spread pro-genocide Zionist propaganda. You know, I want to see the white colonizer tweet, but I can't find a screenshot of it. How sad.
Man,